I am so thrilled. We're now recording. All right. I am so thrilled to welcome you to St. Louis University's School of Social Work and to our spring 2026 semester. Um, you are all here for a reason. You're not here by mistake or by accident. So we are especially thrilled to welcome you, particularly when it's 60 degrees out on January 8th. We don't, well, I will say, oh, it's always 80 in Missouri in January. It is not, but this is the kind of weather that we were able to put together for you. So I'm Noelle Fern. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Dean of the School of Social Work. You have a lot of lovely faculty and staff who have joined us this morning to welcome you and to get you oriented and ready to go for next week. You will get a lot of information today. So I just ask that you engage, you listen, you take it all in, you ask questions, and as you forget things or misplace things, you ask those same questions again. We are here to support you through your time, whether it's 2 semesters, 5 semesters, 8 semesters with us. Know that you are in the right place with the right people, and these will be your friends, your colleagues, and your peers as you move forward. So I'm thrilled to kick off the welcome. You'll hear from my colleagues in just a minute, but I wanted to share a little bit about what makes this place so special and a little bit about what makes incoming cohort a little bit special as well. We are a unique school of social work. We are, to my knowledge, the only school of social work that combines and houses the 3 disciplines that we provide at the undergraduate and graduate level. Of course, we offer degrees from our Bachelor of Science to our PhD in social work. We also offer undergraduate and graduate degrees in criminology and criminal justice, and graduate programs and certificates in applied behavior analysis. And our three disciplines are well represented today, so you'll get to hear from faculty who teach and administer those programs, as well as the amazing staff who support the work that we do, and will be there with you and with the faculty and the program administrators every step of the way. So we're thrilled to have you. You are in the right place. You could not have selected a better time or a better place in which to pursue your next professional and educational journey. So how about a little bit about the people who are joining you? I have to put on my reading glasses for this. I have notes. Our incoming spring cohort this year has 36 registered students. So across our graduate programs, we have 36 new students who will be joining right alongside you next week. You are not alone. Missouri is our top state. 20 of our 36 students are from Missouri. 7 are from our neighbor in Illinois. We also have a few honorable mentions as far away as California, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Colorado, and Nevada. We have an international student from India joining us. Otherwise, 35 of our incoming students are domestic students. By far, we have more incoming MSW students than any other graduate student. We have 35 incoming MSW students. 8 of you have selected an applied behavior analysis concentration. 4 have selected our community and organization, and 23 have selected the clinical concentration for their MSW studies. We also have a couple of dual degree students. This is a relatively new offering for us. We have opportunities to select dual degree programs at the graduate level in our MSW program with both our MSABA and our MACCJ program. So we've got 2 that are doing that for MACCJ and 2 concentrating in strategic intelligence. 12 of our incoming students, so a third, if I'm doing math right this morning, are advanced standing, meaning you've already had undergraduate preparation in social work. So your time to degree will be a little bit quicker. The rest of us will be learning right alongside you. 23 of our students, 23 of you are choosing to pursue your degree fully online with us. So we're very excited. This is your community, whether you're in our building on Lindell or whether you're joining us solely through virtual means. We have 13 on-ground students who will be in this building, or one up and down Lindell with us. And our most common undergraduate majors, makes sense, social work and psychology. We usually find out in psychology that you're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do social work as a profession. So we're thrilled to have you join us. Our most common undergraduate institutions, students come from University of Missouri St. Louis, SIUE Edwardsville, Maryville, and of course, our own SLU. Our age range, we have folks that are young. Our youngest was born in 2005. I cannot believe you're starting graduate school already. And I will say our most wise, I will not say our oldest. Our most wise was born in my decade, in the 1970s. So welcome. Our most common birth year, 2003. And then we have 30 of our 36 students, or 83% joining us, are female, and six students, not 6%, 17% are male. Couple of fun facts. Our most popular last names are Graham and Smith. And we have a current SLU employee joining our incoming spring cohort. So before I kick it off to the faculty and staff who are going to introduce themselves, I want to say welcome. I am thrilled you're here. I cannot wait to see you at our next opportunity, whether that is in person in Tegler Hall or on campus or at another virtual event. You are entering a really positive, busy, challenging perhaps, but in a great way, challenging to get you your next step in your professional and personal journey. And we're very, very honored to be the place that you selected to walk with you through that journey. When you introduce yourselves, one of the fun things that I like to hear is what excites you. So like if you're getting ready to study for exams, or if you're getting ready for something big that you've got to concentrate on, what would be your jam, right? What would be your Spotify list or your other, some streaming service that I'm not familiar with list? So I was asked for your walk-up song. What would get you really, really hyped up? And I will say for this semester, this spring semester, I'm really excited about the 60s out here right now. So I'm going to go with Celebration as my walk-up song. So if you want to share with us, and I will ask our faculty to share too, and then Becca does all of her technological magic, and she puts all of the songs we say on a list, and then we share it. And you're welcome to have that list. You'll have access to it to listen to it whenever you want. So Becca, mine is Celebration this semester, spring 2026. Holy cow. Remember that if any of you, I'm aging myself here, the next time you have to write a check, which I'm sure many of you on here have never even written a check, is 2026 now, not 2025. I am kicking it to the person I see faculty member first. Professor Heather Lewis is next.
Oh no, I don't have my walk-up song. Oh, this is too much stress. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to meet you all. I am Associate Professor Heather Lewis. I hang out in a couple of different spaces. So I serve as Assistant Director for the field of education. I organize and oversee ABA field programming, as well as support online students, regardless of your concentration and degree. I teach in both the ABA and the social work programs, so hopefully we'll get to interact. I am so excited for you to become a Billiken, and my walk-up song is Somebody Give Me One. I feel like this is very stressful. I'm opening up a Spotify account right now.
By the way, she does this a lot. Like
I do. I
think
stress out.
This is the
like
stress,
ordering
most
lunch.
stressed out she gets.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Picking this song.
Yes, it's extraordinarily stressful. So I'm going to say any song by any. Somebody just give me a song. I'm blanking on all songs. Jesse, give me a song.
When the Saints Go Marching In, let's do
Okay,
this.
there it
Let's
is.
do this Slew
Done.
Spite song.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You'd never know that her husband was the provost. And am I next then? Are you kicking it to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Jesse.
Giving you the. All right. I'm Jesse. I'm associate professor. I'm the chair of the community and org concentration, and I co-direct the Door Center with Danny. So I teach the online 5702 course, the policy course, but I also teach undergrads and our PhD students. I'm going to try and make it hard on Becca to find a song. So I'm going to go with a song called Heat Miser by the band In Aisle 8. So good luck. And I will kick it over to Brandy.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see everyone. My name is Brandy Maynard. I serve as the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs here in the School of Social Work. I teach primarily in the MSW and PhD programs, and I am happy to say that I teach everyone's favorite class, the Research and Evaluation Methods class. So I know you're all looking forward to taking that one. And if you're in the MSW program, and I normally teach that online. So if you're in the online program, you hopefully will have me for that class as well. This always stresses me out too. The song. And when we do it all the time, so I don't know why we are surprised each and every single time. But I'm going to go with Titanium, and I'm blanking on the name of the group, but I'm sure Rebecca has that all down there. So welcome. We're so excited to have you. I'm gonna kick it to Christy.
I think you said you're kicking it to me, so I'm going to jump in. Hi, everybody. I believe I've met most of you. My name is Christy Richter. I'm an assistant professor here in the School of Social Work. I have the pleasure of serving as the MSW program director. I am also an alumni of the program. Many, many moons ago, Dr. DeCasse and I were in the program about the same time, so she can tell you the year if she wants. I won't call her out on it. But I also have the pleasure of teaching an undergraduate community and organization course, as well as I'm a field instructor. A field liaison. So faculty liaison when you get ready to do practicum. I tend to be more community organization focused, but may be working with some of the clinical students too. And I'm so excited that you're here. My song is going to be Good People by Jack Johnson. And then I'm Joe, come on in, Joe.
Well, hi, my name is Joe Zlatic, and first I'm going to apologize because I have another meeting at 10:30, so I'm going to have to jump off pretty soon. That said, I am a professor in the Criminology and Criminal Justice program, and I have been delighted to be at SLU now for the last, 3 years or so. Lot of overlap between CCJ and social work, and we very much welcome all of you. This semester, I'm offering issues and corrections at the graduate level. So if that's an area where you feel called or have interest, please join us in the future. Walk-up song, I guess. I watched Bob Dylan not too long ago, the movie over break. And so we'll do the Subterranean Homesick Blues. I'll kick it to Wendy.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I am Wendy DeCasse. I'm the Director of Field Education and an Assistant Clinical Professor in the school. Those of you who are taking HPSI this semester, I am the course lead for that. So if you have any glowing reviews, I only accept those. I'm the person you talk with about that. Let's see, my walk-up song varies. I will not tell you what my walk-up song was this morning driving into campus. I'm keeping it clean, folks. But I will say that right now, my walk-up song is High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. And I will pass it off to, let's see, Dr. Gibson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Allison Gibson. I'm an associate professor here in the School of Social Work, and I mostly teach in the social work program. My role here is as the chair of the clinical concentration program, so I will see many of you a little later as part of orientation. I also am the director for our university's interprofessional gerontology certificate. So if any of you are interested in a career in healthcare or working with older adults when you get finished after your MSW, please get in touch with me. It is really easy to complete your certificate as part of your MSW program without adding additional coursework. Let's see, walk-up song. I'm going to go with Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire. And I am going to pass it to Dr. Passage.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Passage, and I'm a assistant professor and program director for the ABA program. Unlike everyone else here, I just started this past year. I started in July, and also new to St. Louis, and really enjoying the city and getting to know everything there is to know about St. Louis, and it's been really cool. So yeah, my walk-up song right now is probably same one as it was last time. It was probably John Batiste, Freedom. Oh, I need to send this over to someone who has not gone.
Dr. Matthew and Dr. McMillan have not gone, and we now have so many people. We're on a second screen, so I want to make sure I get everyone. And Dr. Chen has not gone either, so I'm gonna miss some people. Pick one, Mike.
And Shelby.
Shelby.
Thank you for that. However, I'm going to pass it back over to the faculty. We're going to let y'all introduce yourself first, and then I will be a little bit towards the end. So Dr. Matthew, I will hand it to you.
Thanks, Shelby. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Monica Matthew. I am an associate professor of social work. I teach in the clinical concentration as well as the ComOrg concentration. Like Jesse, I teach social policy 5702. I also teach the second year group and family class for clinical students in the MSW program. I am a strong advocate for veterans and military service members. So if you're interested in that population, I have worked and studied in the Department of Veterans Affairs for 25 years now. And so if you are interested in a career and a pathway of helping and serving our veterans and following that mission, please be in touch with me. I am also the director of the continuing education program for St. Louis University. I've had the honor of working with Shelby for many years in developing our program. And continuing education is something that many of you haven't even thought about. But what continuing education is your opportunity to support your social work licensure and to build out those specialty practice areas, whether you're in applied behavioral analysis or criminal justice or social work, that are new and innovative. And so if you're interested in psychedelic treatments, if you're interested in community diversion programs, if you're interested in emergency medical social work and other really innovative practice areas in our communities, continuing education is the place you'll land. We offer programs every Friday from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And for 3 hours, you can immerse yourselves with other continuing education participants in the world of a very innovative practice space. Give you something extra besides the classroom to do that allows you to see the world that you're going into in social work. And so continuing education for social workers will be something you do as a lifelong journey. And we hope to be able to start that journey with you here at St. Louis University. So we invite you to join the continuing education program right from the beginning. And I'll ask Shelby, since I know she's probably thinking about it, whenever she has a chance, if you can drop the link in the chat, Shelby, because you're on the computer. I appreciate you so much. I know you know where it is. And join us in our continuing education program. We kick off in another 2 weeks. So there'll be a program coming up very soon, and we'll be launching our emergency management social work certificate that Allison Gibson and others are helping us with. So EMS social work is your thing. Come chase ambulances and help people at the front lines. Certainly for criminal justice and for social work, we invite you to join us. Longest introduction ever. So I'm a huge talker. I'm from South Louisiana, so I can talk all day. My walk-up song, I'm going to thank Noelle for saying the 60s. I am going to go with what popped in my head. Noelle, you said the 60s, and for some reason I flashed back to elementary school, where every morning in Catholic school we sang "We Are Family." And it was a rockin' good time. So that's my walk-up song. So welcome, everyone. Oh, popcorning, Dr. Chin.
Oh, yeah. Um, Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SLU School of Social Work. I'm an assistant professor of social work, and I'm teaching the MSW and the PhD program for our genius and adorable students. So, in the future, I really look forward to, having any interaction with you. Yeah, and my workout song right now could be like, What a Beautiful Day. Yeah, What a Beautiful Day by Samsung Galaxy. And the popcorn gonna be Danny.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Chen. Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. My name is Danny Young. I'm the Director of Graduate Recruitment and Admissions here in the School of Social Work. So delighted to see all of your faces. Thank you for joining. I know you probably are tired of my emails at this point, but thank you for reading them. So my walk-up song is going to be Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. And I'm going to popcorn it to Becca.
Hi, everybody. My name is Becca Schultz. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Programming here in the School of Social Work. I have been with SLU for about 3 years, and I work with any and all students. I do events for the school. I have a special place in my heart for our accelerated program students. You'll be working with me closely. And my walk-up song is going to be All the Things She Said. If you've watched Heated Rivalry, you know. And I don't think that Dr. McMillan went, so I'm going to pass it to him really quickly, and then we can go back to staff.
Thank you, Becca. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people who has to jump to the next Zoom in a few minutes. So I teach practice with communities and organizations, and I look at that as serving communities through organizations and all the different ways we do that. My background is in Catholic healthcare. I was the CEO of a health system. Monica cued a lot of thoughts in me. I'm a veteran. I love New Orleans. And so the song I'm going to leave you with is from a bunch of New Orleans buskers. They are called Saint Cinder, and the song is You Ain't No City Dog. So enjoy. It's Mardi Gras season. It's a big deal in St. Louis, and I met those guys in Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So enjoy and have a great spring semester and a great start to your time at SLU.
Thanks, Steve. Shelby, I'll pass it back to you.
Good morning, all. My name is Shelby Tarkington. I am your academic program coordinator here for the School of Social Work. I wear many hats, like many of the faculty here as well, faculty and staff. My first hat is going to be that I can be a good point of contact for you for anything that you may need. Since Danny has been blowing up your emails in the beginning, I'm going to be blowing up your emails now. So if you see anything from me, please go ahead and read that carefully, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. The second hat that I wear is that I'm also a current MSW student along with you all. So I just finished up my first year and a half, and I've got about a year and a half to go. I am in the communities and organizations track, so big proprietor for communities and organizations along with Professor Richter and Dr. Helton. So if y'all have any questions on the student side, I'm also happy to answer those. My walk-up song would be Baby Steps by Olivia Dean. And then I am going to hand that off to Jess.
Good morning, all. Welcome. Congratulations. We are so excited that you are Billikens. I am Jessica Kilmaid. I'm your business manager. And the second hat I wear is that I'm a big cheerleader for you all and for everyone here at Kansas University. I'll be speaking with you here in just a little bit about my role and responsibility in supporting you in the business and finance aspect of your time here at SLU. So we'll be back on in just a bit. But my walk-up song is Diamonds by Rihanna, because we sing that every morning in our car. So it's just like in my all day. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you in a bit.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jess. All faculty and staff have gone, correct? Yay! Okay, so now we're going to transition to the student introduction. So now we want to hear more about you as our incoming students. So We're going to do this really quickly because we're already behind schedule, but no worries. So all students that want to introduce themselves, please raise your virtual hand. Raise your virtual hand, and I will call on the first student to introduce themselves, say your name, what program, if you're online or in person, and quickly give us your walk-up song, and then you will popcorn it to the next student. So let's keep it moving. Let's see how fast we can do this. So I will call on Ava to introduce yourself, and then you'll popcorn it to the next student. Please be sure to raise your virtual hand so that we know that we haven't called on you. Okay? Ava, you're first.
Hi, my name is Ava Smith. I'm in the clinical track for advanced standing. And are we doing walk-up songs? Okay, my walk-up song is Eating Big Time by Tyler Childers. And then I'll call on Paige.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paige. I am doing the clinical advanced standing route. My song will be Flawless by Beyonce, and I am popcorning to LaShonda.
Good morning. I'm LaShonda Childs. I'm doing the clinical advanced standing track online. And my walk-up song would be by Queen, We Are the Champions. And I'm a popcorn it to Berna.
Hello, I'm Bernadette Borealis. I am in Durango, Colorado. I am an advanced standing student in the clinical program, and my hype song is Sing by My Chemical Romance. I will pass it to Ellis.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Shamika Ellis. I'm in the dual program, social work, applied behavior analyst. My walk-up song is something I've listened to lately. You Are God Alone by Marvin Sapp. I will be passing it on to, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to get the full screen. Bear with me, you guys. If I can.
Let's go with Autumn to keep it moving.
Okay,
Autumn,
thank you, Danny.
no problem.
Appreciate that.
Autumn, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Good morning. My name is Autumn Lewis. I am going to be doing the clinical track and for advanced standing in person. And my walk-up song would be I'm Still Standing by Elton John. And popcorning it to Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan. I am from Kansas City, Missouri. I am also in the clinical program Advanced Standing, and my walk-up song would be Chandelier by Sia. And I'm going to send it to Jessica.
My name is Jessica Kramer, and I'm from St. Charles, Missouri, and I'm in the Advanced Standing Community Organization program. And my walk-up song would be Flowers by Miley Cyrus. And I will pass it to Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm going to be in the foundational online track with the clinical concentration. And I would say my walk-up song would be Art Deco by Lana Del Rey. And I'll popcorn it to Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I am from Belleville, Illinois, which is about a half hour from downtown St. Louis. I'll be doing in-person dual criminology and social work, and my song would be Electric Feel by MGMT. Oh, Mitchell.
Hello, everyone. My name's Mitchell Bushnell Chamness. I'm originally from Winnie, Texas, but I live in St. Louis now. I am doing the in-person clinical track, maybe a little shorter. Um, and my walk-up song, I would say probably Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo. And then I will popcorn it to Sandler.
Hello, my name is Chandler Crouch. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I will be doing the in-person clinical social work, and my hype song would be Bonnie and Clyde by Jay Electronica.
Who are you?
And I will popcorn it to Katie.
Good morning. My name is Katia. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm in the community and organization of social work, the advanced standing, and my walk-up song would be For Real Happy.
And who are you popcorning it to?
I'm gonna popcorn it to Deja Williams.
Hi, my name is Deja. I'm from St. Louis, but I live in Belleville. I'm doing the online MSW. Can y'all still hear me? Okay. Um, I'm doing a clinical track and my I missed a little bit of the beginning, but walk-up song isn't just like a song I would come like have I guess. I guess my walk-up song would be My Own Summer by Deftones. I'll popcorn it to Jeanette.
Hi, my name is Jeanette. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm doing the clinical track with advanced standing, and my walk-up song would be Breaking Dishes by Rihanna. And I'll popcorn it to Matt.
Hi, my name's Matt. I'm sorry, I use pronounce he, him. I'm from the St. Louis area, but I currently do halftime in Champaign and halftime in Collinsville, Illinois. I am an online student, advanced standing in the clinical track. If I had a walk-up song, it'd be Tropics by Rainbow Kitten Surprise. And I'll pass it to Joseph.
Chandler, dude said you're from Charlotte as well? I hope I'm.
Champagne, sorry. Oh, this. I don't know. Go ahead, Joseph. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Joseph. I'm from Pennsylvania and I'm doing the clinical track. And my walk-up song would be Space Junk by Wong Chung. And I'll pass it to Samantha.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha. I'm from here in St. Louis, and I'm doing the online community organization track. And my song would be Now by Paramore. And I will pass it to Lydia.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Lydia. I'm doing the clinical track and I am from St. Louis. I just graduated in December from SLU. And my song would probably currently is Bones by Anastasia Elliott. And that's the wrong. I'll go to Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan Smith. I will be doing the fully online MSW Community Organization Program. And I'm from here. I'm from St. Louis. And I guess my walk-up song would be On Me by Madison Ryan Ward.
How about we go to Christina?
Sorry. I was gonna say we can go to, I think I see Casina. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. My name is Christina Messman. I'm doing the clinical track and I'm from Tennessee. And my song would be Stand by Rascal Flatts.
Catherine, I think.
Katie, you're next. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Katie. I'm in the MACCJ program. I'm from Lake St. Louis, and my walk-up song would be YMCA.
Awesome. Anyone has not gone, please raise your virtual hand. Or feel free to just jump in. Everyone has gone?
I'm not gone. My name is David Kennedy Apopo. I am in MSW community organization. I live in the Chicago area, basically in Illinois, and my favorite song is "Heal the World" by Michael Jackson. I'm originally from Kenya, so.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Anyone else? Final call. All right. Awesome. So we got through introductions pretty good. Let's keep it moving. So we're going to have our business manager, Jess Kamadi, talk to you about tuition and billing. So she'll share her screen right now. Thank you, Jess.
Good morning. Okay, good morning, all. As Danny mentioned, my name is Jess Kilade. I am your business manager, and my role at the School of Social Work is to work with you here in the school. That is something that is critical to talk about first, is that here's the topics we'll go over today, is that we're going to talk about contact information, the school versus the university, because when it comes to the billing and who you're going to be working with, is that you do have the school, the university, and you're part of a program. As Dean Fern mentions, we are unique at the School of Social Work in that we social work, applied behavior analysis, and criminology and criminal justice. Those are the programs. So the school, the program, the university. So you have contacts in all of those aspects. We'll go over the billing structures, the scholarships, which I know I'm excited about and are being applied to your accounts, your financing options, and then we've got a couple of communication tips and tricks, and then my contact information that I'll provide to you. You will get copies of these slides so that you'll have the links that I'm going to reference. You'll be able to click on those in case you've already gotten a lot of them, but then they'll be at your fingertips with me. So contact information for the school. I am your contact. My phone number, email is a quick way to get a hold of me, and we can always set up meetings online, or you can hop in. And then many of you have been getting contact information from the Office of Student Financial Services, and you'll hear from representatives today, later. Their general contact is sfs@slu.edu, but you also will have an individual financial aid counselor. Those will be assigned to you oftentimes by your last name. So the general box is here. Here at the school, my role and responsibility is outlined in your scholarships, your stipends, questions about your billing that are related just to here, and then updating some of these personal tracks, which we're going to get to in just a minute. When it comes to student financial services, that's your personal loans, your personal financing. Billing structure. You've been provided a sample billing structure from Danny upon admissions. It's online. I'll get you another copy of that. The billing structures here in our school, we're a flat rate tuition, which means there's no additional fees related to the school. What this allows is for some flexible course planning. You're paying just for your degree. It's a set tuition, regardless of how many credit hours you're taking per semester, and your degree is going to be conferred upon course completion, and when you're paid in full. The billing structures are examples like this. There's a standard track billing and a professional track billing. It's based on the sample roadmaps that are also provided kind of online or that you've discussed with your program director, whether you're in social work, applied behavior analysis, or criminology and criminal justice. Everyone upon admissions is in the standard track building. If you choose to go to professional track building, that's something that you would communicate with me via email. Billing tracks. Course planning and billing are independent of one another. Again, everyone is in standard track billing unless you want to communicate that you want to go into professional track. It just means that you're taking your payments and elongating your payment plan. It aligns with the sample roadmap. Time status is independent of them. If you are planning 6 credit hours per semester, by university definition, you are still a full-time student. You're part-time in the program, but from a university definition as a graduate student, you are still full-time. So time status and billing are different. University fees are also different than school fees. You will not have school fees, but based on how many credit hours you're taking, on your bill, you may see a fee because of your time status on how many credit hours you're taking. Again, time status is different than billing. Selecting that new billing type. You default to standard billing. If you want to request professional track, that's something that you're going to communicate to me. Scholarship. Upon admissions, you receive communication from our admissions team about what your scholarship is. These scholarships are outlined as such. Again, you're going to get a copy of this again. Scholarships are sent to Student Financial Services at the beginning of the semester. This January is the beginning of the semester. You must be registered for classes for them to be put onto your account. And it can take up to 10 to 20 business days for those to be applied to the account. Oftentimes just because it's very busy in the office for all things to be put onto the account. So note that all the scholarships have been sent over and it's just a timing issue for everything to be sent into you. For the second set of your scholarship, which is often stipends if you're in an applied behavior analysis or social work, those stipends happen at a specific time. You will see those scholarships applied during craft work. Communication comes to you from me at those appropriate times when you registered for the courses. There are documents that you sign so that you can make choices based on how you want those payments to be made. Again, these links are going to be sent to you. Everything is found online on the SFS website. But these are resources about financing your graduate education at the university. Loan options and assistantships and fellowship options at the university level. Here's some communication tips. These are the types of things that are going to help you get answers faster. The ability to provide all your information, your full name, first and last name, your banner ID is critical. There's a email signature generator online where you can put your banner ID and your phone name and all that, your program information in there, which is going to help communicate to anyone at the university so we can search your information further. Always communicate with your SME team. If you are communicating from your phone, you're going to have to find a way to get you connected into your SME. We always have to communicate St. Louis University information via St. Louis University emails. Be clear. Be thorough but inquisitive. So communicate your need while asking questions also so that you can figure out what's going on. Provide the relevant information so that we can truly figure out what's going on with your account. Ask for questions. Make sure that you check all of your accounts also so that we can make sure that the forms are filled out. So being both clear and proactive, and we'll make sure that we have all the information that you need. My contact information is here. When I stop sharing the screen, I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in the chat so you can copy it and have access. Finance information is personal. So in this setting, I can go ahead and take a couple of general questions, but if you have individual questions about your account, I'd like to go ahead and set up meetings for after today, and we can discuss your personal information at another time. So thank you. I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to working with you, and I'm so excited that we're part of a St. community. Is there any general information or questions today? Talking finance. All right, have a great day. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jess. We appreciate that presentation. Again, as a reminder, if you have specific questions about billing in your situation, please feel free to contact Jess directly. All right, so next up we have our career counselor, Grace Wing. She will share with you more information about the Career Services office here at St. Louis University. Grace will share her screen as well.
All right, thank you, Danny. I will share my screen right now so that you guys can see my PowerPoint. All right, there we go. Is everybody seeing this okay? Awesome. All right, so I'm here today to give you guys a little overview of what it is that we do at Career Services, so how we can be of service to you. And then I also have a little bit of a section on just talking about professionalism, so what it looks like as a student, things to kind of keep in mind. All right. So first, if you don't know who Career Services is, our office is located on the ground floor of Griesdeck Hall. That's that picture over there on the left side. So we're kind of next to and behind Grand Hall. So we have two different entrances. One entrance requires like a card swipe, the other one doesn't. If you approach us from West Pine, so directly across from Pius Library, you can get in and you'll see our office there. That's that right picture. So big windows. We have a really nice lobby space. People often come in there just to study and do homework. So you can always do that if you would like. So we have a couple different types of appointments, and you make appointments with us through EAB Navigate. So I'll just run through the types of appointments really quickly. So we have career counseling appointments, which are for, whether you're not really sure what you want to do with your degree after you graduate, or you just want some assistance with exploring the different options that are available to you. We can talk through that. We can work on networking. We can help you find like internship or shadowing opportunities, things like that. We also have resume review appointments as well as cover letter review appointments. So if you are planning to submit a resume or cover letter to an internship or to a job position, then we can sit down in one of these appointments and really take an in-depth look at your document. And I will provide you with helpful feedback about how can you improve your document, and other things to keep in mind as you're writing and submitting these. We also have the job and internship search appointments. So these are just for helping you along with that search process. So if you're not really sure where to search or how to kind of optimize your search, we can help you with navigating these job search platforms such as LinkedIn, Handshake, Indeed. We can also help you to develop your professional network. I also want to note that there are multiple different methods that you can use to get feedback on your documents. So you can make an appointment. You can also submit a document on Handshake. So as a SLU student, all of you have access to Handshake. You can find it in your SLU apps. And once you activate your account, you can submit a resume or cover letter on your profile, and it'll be asynchronously reviewed by our office. We also have other options like drop-in hours. I'll touch on those a little bit later, and Big Resume, which I'll also mention later as we talk about some online resources. We also have graduate school appointments. So specifically, our graduate school appointments focus more on that search process or developing your resume, CV, or cover letter. We don't do as much with personal statements. Those are more so for the Writing Center. And we also have mock interview appointments. So these are for if you have maybe like an upcoming interview for an internship, or for like a practicum placement, or for any, job position. We can run through practice questions to kind of help you to practice interview questions. And I will provide feedback during that appointment so that there's kind of like this instant feedback for you. Other things to note, appointments are typically 45 minutes long. You have all 45 of those minutes, although of course you don't have to use all 45 minutes. You can book an in-person appointment. You can also book a virtual appointment over Zoom. So totally up to you and what you need. We are also available to current students and to alumni. So after you graduate, you can still make appointments with our office. Just the way that you make them will be different. So you would make them over Handshake instead of in EAB Navigate. And then typically we're available all weekdays between 9 to 5 p.m., including most breaks. So our office is still open even over like summer break or winter break. So you can still book appointments with us during those times, just not on holidays. And then just a few other resources I wanted to highlight. I won't go into everything in depth here, but I just want to point out that our webpage has access to tons of really helpful resources. That QR code right there will bring you to our website, and you can find things like what can I do with my major? That'll help you explore options for your career after your degree. Big Interview, good for mock interview question practice, as well as Big Resume, which is an AI that helps to evaluate your resume. We also just have like helpful guides on there for resume writing, cover letter writing, networking, etc. Handshake has lots of great resources because you can access all of our events on Handshake. So you can see what events are coming up. You can sign up for virtual events as well. And one last resource that I want to highlight is our professional headshots. So our office offers free professional headshots. You just have to schedule with the photo booth on EAB Navigate. That is a service that's only available for current students right now. So I highly recommend getting a professional headshot done before you graduate. Okay, and then now just some quick tips on professionalism. So why are we talking about professionalism right now? Because the people that you meet in your program are going to be the people writing your references or writing letters of recommendation in the future. This is where you build your network as a professional. So professionalism is about how you dress. It's about the attitude that you bring to school and work. It's about how you communicate with others, and it's also about the quality of work that you do. So just some basics to keep in mind. Make sure that you're recognizing the importance of other people's time. So if you have a meeting scheduled, just make sure that you're keeping on top of that. Make sure you have it in your calendar and you don't just forget about it. Or if you can't make that meeting, make sure you're communicating with the other person in a timely fashion. Make sure to pay attention in class. Make sure to follow through on any promises or deadlines. If you're unable to meet a deadline, again, communication is the most important thing. Just some quick tips about sending professional emails. Make sure you're sending it to the right people. Make sure you have an appropriate subject line that's also clear about what this email is about. Have a salutation and a way to close your email that's professional. Reread your email just to check for any spelling or grammatical mistakes. And of course, make sure you also have the attachments that you say you'll have. So this is just an example of a professional email. So let's say a student has a question about a paper that they're writing for a class. So here we have a professional subject line. The email starts off with, "Hi, Professor so-and-so." And the body of the email is very clear about exactly what the student is asking for, as well as what the student has already tried to address the problem that they're running up against. So just try to keep your emails nice and succinct and make them very clear as to what you are asking for. Okay, so once again, I just want to reiterate that Career Services is situated on the first floor of Griesedek Hall. It can be a little difficult for students to find sometimes, but once you've found it once, it'll be pretty easy the next time. You can always email us at career_services@slu.edu if you have general questions. Also, feel free to email me. I'll drop my email in the chat after I finish presenting. Because I am the career counselor for the School of Social Work. So whenever you book an appointment, it will most likely be with me. And once again, just remember that when you make appointments, it will be through EAB Navigate. All right, my email is also there, but I'll put it in the chat later. And if you want to, you can scan this QR code to find our social medias. All right, does anyone have any quick questions before I hand this off? All right, well, thank you for having me, and I hope to see you all come in for appointments this semester.
Thank you, Grace. Can we give a virtual round of applause for Grace? The information was great. So be sure to schedule your headshot. If you want a headshot, please be sure to contact Grace directly. If you want to utilize the career services here at St. Louis University. So moving right along, we're almost close to break, guys. So bear with us. So we know a lot of information is being thrown at you right now, but it's a lot of great information that will help you as you matriculate in grad school. So we do have some individuals from other departments as well joining us, particularly from our IT department, library services, and student financial services offices. So in preparation for our orientation, you received an email with 3 videos that were created by the different departments for you to view, to receive more information about what each department does. So hopefully you've watched those videos. They're really great, a lot of great information that you can access at any time. But we do have our colleagues from IT, Library Services, and SFS here to also give you some quick tidbits and to introduce themselves as well as your point of contact. So with that being said, I will ask that our colleagues from IT kick us off with introductions and then share some tidbits or information that you want to give to our incoming graduate students, followed by someone from, I think Jacob is from SFS. He will also introduce himself and share some quick tidbits from financial services. And then finally, Denise from library services. So I'm going to actually turn it over to IT now. So thank you, Timothy, for joining us.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to St. Louis University, where we are so glad you're here. As Danny said, my name's Tim Murphy, and I'm here with Mike Holmes. We both lead a portion of our IT team here at SLU, focused primarily on support and academic technologies, so classroom technologies and some of the learning technologies that you may use, such as Canvas or Panopto, in your courses. Really, the one thing that I will tell you, in addition to the video that you will have the opportunity to watch, is we're here to help. We want to ensure that technology is an enabler while you're here at SLU and not a barrier. We have multiple ways that you can get in contact with us if you're having an issue or you have any type of question. Our primary is phone support. That's 314-977-4000. We also have email, which is for non-priority type things that normally takes a business day or so to get back. But email's ask@slu.edu. And then also, if you go to our webpage, ask.slu.edu, we have a chat on there, and that chat gets you in contact with a real human over here in the Wool Center, just across the street from you if you're on campus, and we can help you out there. So really wanted to get that across to you guys, is that we are here to help. You guys are our customers, and we want to make sure the technology works well for you while you're here with us at SLU. With that, I'll open it up and see if anybody has any quick questions. All right, Danny, I think I can turn things over to the next person, and appreciate your time this morning.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Next up, we'll have, I think Jacob is here from Student Financial Services.
Yeah, thank you, Danny, and thank you everyone for having me on here. My name is Jacob. I'm one of the Student Financial Services counselors here at the university, and just briefly wanted to talk about some of the topics kind of have gone over already, what we try to accomplish here, and then of course open it up for questions. So a lot of the issues or the topics that we will try to address is kind of your typical FAFSA timeline and the documents that you may need to actually acquire the loans that you're looking to get. Of course, estimated timeline to actually see those loans dispersed in the account, as well as if any adjustments need to be made, maybe semester to semester, if you need more funds in the fall as compared to the spring, as well as I think payment plans were mentioned. So kind of going over what that would look like when you were to enroll in the semester, how many payments would be, dollar amounts, there's any additional fee associated with that, as well as just general questions on if you're looking at your bill and the payment suite. So we'd love to just talk about if you have any questions about that, can certainly address any questions that you have there. We're located in DeBerg Hall. I believe there's 5 of us here, financial services counselors. You do have an assigned one that you can view in EAB. But of course, feel free to give us a call. Or we also accept walk-ins 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Or have a meeting directly with your counselor. And email, of course, is always fair, whether it's to SFS or directly to your counselor. And generally try to be speedy and responses there. I don't know if anyone has questions now. Of course, if it pertains specifically to you or something personal, yeah, feel free to reach out to myself. I'll put my email down here in the chat, or again, reaching out directly to your counselor. But yeah, I'll see if any questions are out there right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you.
And up next, we have Miss Denise from Library Services.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Danny. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is actually my first semester at SLU as well. So welcome to SLU. And I am the assistant professor and librarian of social sciences here at St. Pius Library. You can find me on the 2nd floor. I'm in office 202F. You can schedule appointments with me via either online or one-on-one in-person consultations. You can also email me. I'm available Monday through Friday, pretty much anytime. I can be flexible with my time, and I am here to connect you with resources. If you're having trouble finding certain articles with our databases that we have available, or even just learning about the databases that we have available for you, I'm here to help guide you through that. In the event that there's a specific article or book that you want that's not available through our library, we do have a service called Interlibrary Loan, where you can still have a possibility of getting that certain item. Also, if you just want general help with navigating a library, how can the library assist you? I'm here to answer those questions as well. I know a video was shared with you from my former colleague that had some of that information in there. And as I grow in this role, I look forward to helping you grow in your studies as well. And I look forward to working with you all. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions for me? All right. Well, thank you. I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. I wish you all the best in your studies, and please come visit the library. We have so many great resources to help you, and also fun books to read too, if if you have time for leisurely reading as well. So thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Denise. And Denise will also probably be stopping by one of your classes at some point to share more detailed information about library services. So you'll be seeing her again at some point throughout your graduate school journey. So one final call. Any questions for IT, student financial services, or library services before we move on? All right, this is a quiet bunch this morning. I'm sure there'll be more questions as we start classes next week. So you have their contact information. Feel free to reach out to them directly. But thank you so much to our colleagues, Tim, Jacob, and Denise, for joining, and we appreciate you. With that being said, we're going to move right along and talk about the systems and resources within the School of Social Work. My colleague Becca will take it from here.
Okay. Alrighty, let's jump into the School of Social Work systems and resources. There are a few things that I want to touch on. You all will be using Canvas for your courses, whether you are an online student or you're going to be taking classes on campus. All of your course information will be found in Canvas. Can I get a quick hand raise for who has used Canvas before or who's heard of it, who's familiar with it? All right. Oh, that's so good. Okay. That helps me know what I need to cover and what I can skip over. Since we have lots of people that are familiar with Canvas, the most important thing that I'm going to mention is that you should download the Canvas Student mobile app. This way, you can, even when you're on the go, if you don't have your laptop, you can always log in and you can see if there's any announcements from your instructors or any announcements from the school. You can also set up mobile notifications this way so that if you have an assignment due, it can send you a reminder, or if there's a new announcement that's timely, you can get a notification straight to your phone. So if you haven't done it already, download the Canvas Student mobile app before classes start next week. Another thing to note, once you have downloaded Canvas and you're able to log in, you will see a dashboard. On that dashboard, you'll see your courses in a tile format. This will typically show up once instructors have published the courses. So, and typically instructors publish their courses the week before classes begin. So if you're in Canvas already and you don't see your classes, don't freak out. It's okay. They probably just haven't published them yet. But since classes start next week, they should be doing that the rest of this week and through the weekend. If it doesn't pop up until Monday, don't worry. You're not behind. You're just on schedule with them. So you can't do anything until they publish it, and they know that. So log into Canvas, take a look around. If you don't see your classes, don't panic. It will show up. Another thing to note is you have an inbox in Canvas. You can message your instructor or your classmates via this inbox. However, please, please, please check the syllabi for your class, because some instructors prefer to not use the inbox. Some of them prefer to be emailed directly via their SLOOT email. So while this is a feature for you to contact your instructors, it may not be the best one depending on their preferences, but you can always use it to contact your classmates. Moving right along, I'm going to go over some other helpful mobile apps. All of these apps that I'm going to show you are in your MySLU apps dashboard, which you should have set up after you set up your Okta multi-factor authentication. If you need help setting up any of that still, feel free to reach out to us or to IT and they'll help you out. But all of these apps can be found in your MySLU dashboard. EAB Navigate is going to be how you can schedule some appointments with your school staff and other staff at the university. You can also see your class schedule. You can sync them to your phone calendar through EAB Navigate. So if you're like me and you like to have your calendar with everything on it, school, work, personal, EAB Navigate will help you do that. Microsoft Outlook. This has been mentioned a couple times, but you're gonna need to use your SLU email. That is how we communicate with you, is through your SLU email. Now that you're an admitted student, we really won't be reaching out to your personal email anymore. So download Microsoft Outlook, connect it to your personal account if you need to, and stay on top of it. Some other things to note, if you are an on-campus student and you don't want to pay for parking in the parking garage, you should download the Park mobile app and you can do parking on the street. I'm not really going to say that one is the better option over the other. It's just a resource that we have if you're only coming to campus once a week for a couple hours and you don't want to pay for that parking pass. This is a really good resource for you to have. Some other helpful websites, these can also be found in the apps dashboard, the MySLU dashboard. Also, you can just search it on the website. Feel free to take a screenshot so you have these QR codes available to you. But we do have print services for all students. There is a shuttle service if you're needing to go from one side of campus to the other, that is available. And then just some other things to be aware of. We have lots of opportunities to get involved on campus through campus life. There are so many opportunities for graduate students, commuter students, online students. So feel free to peruse that. And then if you have questions about your program or any other programs at the university or policies and handbooks, feel free to look at the academics page at slu.edu and you'll find all that information for you. All right, I went really fast through those things, but are there any questions that we have about Canvas, about your MySLU dashboard, email, anything like that before I pass it off? No? Beautiful. That's what I like to hear. All right, Danny, I will pass it along to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Becca. So I will share with you about the School of Social Work resources, and particularly the point of contacts that you should be aware of as an incoming graduate student. So as you can already see, within the School of Social Work, you have a pretty dynamic support system. And you also have a really great support system outside the School of Social Work as well, as you can see by the other departments that joined us as well. So you are in great hands. Becca and I have been your point of contacts throughout the application and admissions process. And we are so proud of you. And we just thank you for taking care of business and getting to this point. And ultimately, orientation is kind of our way of passing the baton to our student affairs team. So these individuals on this screen pretty much are the folks you should be in contact with going forward as new graduate students. The last email you'll receive from admissions will be a follow-up email to orientation. We'll provide the link to the recording. We'll also provide you with a contact sheet listing the names and phone numbers of key people within the School of Social Work. But that will pretty much be your the extent of your relationship with admissions. So at this point going forward, I will identify some key folks that you should be aware of that you will be contacting throughout your grad school journey. If you are in St. Louis, if you're in the School of Social Work, coming to classes on site, feel free to stop by the admissions office. I love to see students. We love to meet you in person if we haven't already. So feel free to stop in, say hi, let us know how classes are going. We have an open door policy, so don't hesitate to stop in if you are on campus and you want to just say hi to myself or Becca. We are here for you. But going forward, your point of contacts on pretty much anything related to, grad school, whether it's course registration, whether it's questions about financial aid or anything, related to school, you're going to have people that you need to contact directly. Admissions will not be your point of contact going forward. So I just wanted to make sure we share that. But your program director, so by now you've met Professor Christy Richter. She is the MSW program director. She is your main point of contact going forward for the MSW program. So if you have any questions or concerns, if just any general questions about the curriculum or the program itself, any feedback or whatnot, you will work with Professor Richter. That will be your point of contact going forward. If you have any student handbook questions, you will reach out to Professor Richter. You will also hear from her later on in the orientation as well. So she will talk to you about the MSW program expectations, and that will be your opportunity to ask any questions about the program and just hear more about what is expected of you as an incoming MSW student. If you are, I know we have a couple of MACCJ students, so Dr. Diane McGuire is your program director for the Criminology and Criminal Justice program. So should you have any questions related to our MACCJ program, you will definitely reach out to Dr. Diane McGuire. In fact, she unfortunately could not be here with us in orientation, but she did say that if you wanted to meet with her directly, feel free to reach out to her and set up an individual appointment as an MACCJ student. So your program director is pretty much one of your main point of contacts going forward on anything related to the program. And so you'll hear from Professor Richter later after the break. Faculty advisor. So you will be assigned a faculty advisor within the coming month. You'll receive an email, I believe, from our academic program coordinator, Shelby Tarkington. So just know that you will be assigned a faculty advisor. This individual will be your point of contact for any advising related questions. So initially, your advisor was Professor Richter, helping you get registered for your first semester classes. But going forward, you will have a faculty advisor that you will work with directly on course registration to kind of help you guide you through course planning, provide mentoring, and any academic concerns you have. Please connect with your faculty advisor. And again, you'll be assigned one within the next month. Academic program coordinator, you've met her already. Her name is Shelby Tarkington. So this will be your point of contact. She was initially your point of contact with registration issues. So if you receive any registration errors, ticket time issues or whatnot, Shelby is going to be a great point of contact for that as well. And then also Canvas related questions or issues, you can contact Shelby for that as well. Our Director of Field Education, Dr. Wendy DeCase, you'll hear from her later in the orientation. So everything related to practicum, that is what our Director of Field Education manages. So you will hear her presentation and she will provide guidance on how the practicum selection process works. Our business manager, you heard from Jess Kilmati. She is our business manager. She handles the tuition and billing within the School of Social Work. So again, contact Jess directly if you want to be billed on a professional track. If you have any questions about billing, please be sure to contact Jess directly. And then obviously admissions, that's us. So pretty much going forward, you're going to contact us if you want to refer somebody to the School of Social Work, right? So if you know anybody, a colleague, friend, or family member that's interested in getting their master's degree in social work, criminology, or criminal justice, or applied behavior analysis, send them our way. And who knows, there may be some more scholarship money in it for you. So if you know someone that's interested, direct them to myself or Becca. And then finally, let's see, we do have some student associations. So we do have an MSW student association. So I assume they will be reaching out to you at some point to let you know about the organization, any events they may be having. So they do have a leadership team as well. So I would encourage you to make sure you participate in the MSW Student Association and look out for their emails as well. And then finally, a student handbook. So Professor Richter will talk to you more about that student handbook, but just in general, you want to make sure you read it. The student handbook is located on the website, and you also can access it via Canva. But this is something that you want to familiarize yourself with because the student handbook lists grading policies, talks about leave of absence, protocol for grievances, and academic expectations. So, make sure you are familiar with the student handbook. If you have to take off a semester or whatnot, don't just disappear. You need to let someone know. You need to put in a leave of absence. All of that is outlined in the student handbook. So it is your responsibility as a graduate student to familiarize yourself with it. This is not undergrad anymore, so there's a higher level of expectation for you as a graduate student. So those are the resources or the people that you should be familiar with. The next slide, let's see. University resources. So I won't spend too much time on this slide because in the emails that I've sent you regarding orientation, I've attached a graduate student resources document. That document is pretty much all the departments here at SLU that are available to you as a graduate student. So make sure you take time to look at that document. It provides the link and contact information of those departments. You've already heard from a few of them, such as IT and library services and SFS. But other departments that you probably should connect with if you need to are the Center for Accessibility and Disability Resources. So if you have a disability that could impact your studies here at SLU, we would encourage you to contact that center ASAP before classes start. So they provide resources for students who need academic accommodations. So know that they are here for you, but you need to contact them directly and as soon as possible if you need academic accommodations. I would also like to highlight the University Counseling Center. So grad school can be a challenge. It can be very tough transitioning, into grad school can be a lot for some people. And so if you are struggling, if you are in need of crisis support, if you are in need of mental health counseling services, we recommend that you contact our counseling center. They provide Zoom services. You can meet them in person, but we highly recommend that if you're feeling high levels of stress or anxiety while you're in grad school, please connect with them. Some of them are actually licensed clinical social workers. So please know that our University Counseling Center is here for you. And that is a department that you should definitely reach out to if you're having, issues in grad school in terms of like mental health or whatnot. We also have university writing services. So some of you may have been out of school for a while, right? And so you may need help with writing. You may want to have someone proofread some of your work because in grad school, you're going to be doing a lot of writing. So if you want to brush up on your writing skills or get feedback on your writing, please reach out to the University Writing Services Department. They are also available to meet with you via Zoom or in person. So regardless of if you're an online or on-ground student, they are available and accessible to you as well. And so let's see, registrar, contact the registrar if you have questions about transcripts or whatnot. They will be your point of contact. Also, I would say on the registrar's page, make sure you have access to the academic calendar so you know when the add and drop dates are. That is your responsibility to know that. So you can always go to slu.edu and access the academic calendar to find out when the last day is to drop classes or whatnot. So make sure you're familiar with that as well. Let's see, there is a graduate student association here at SLU. So that is open to all graduate students, not just the School of Social Work. So if you want to get more involved at the graduate level, you would definitely connect with them, but they will also be visible here on campus and probably be sending you information about events or resources as well as a graduate student. So that is an opportunity as well. If you want to be in a leadership role with the Graduate Student Association, I would encourage you to reach out to them as well. We've had some social work students in the past who have served in leadership positions with the GSA. So I would encourage you to definitely reach out to them and make sure that you're reading their emails as well. Campus ministry. So if you want to explore your spirituality, if you want to attend Mass, there are services for students daily. And right now, as far as I know, first Sunday, they have student Mass at 8 p.m. And then they do offer Mass daily as well through the weekday. So if you are local, you can definitely attend Mass at St. Francis Xavier College Church. It's right here on the corner of Lindo and Grand. That is open to you as a graduate student as well. Let's see. Whew. Dean of Students Office. So we do have a Dean of Students Office here at SLU. So they are also available to provide resources to you as a graduate student and also here to help you navigate the SLU experience. And then finally, public safety. So if you are an on-ground student, please know that our public safety officers are very visible. I would encourage you to also make sure you contact them if you see anything on campus, if you feel unsafe or anything. Please be sure to contact public safety. But they are always very visible on campus, particularly around the School of Social Work as well. So they are here as a resource as well. So finally, before we dismiss for a break, I wanted to highlight a couple of things really quickly. I wanted to mention about transcripts. So most of you, I think when you applied, most of you submitted your unofficial transcripts. But now that you're an admitted student, now that you're enrolled, we will need your official degree conferred transcripts. So if you have not sent those yet, please work on obtaining your official degree conferred transcripts because the university needs those on file. If you don't submit those, what will happen is you'll get some emails from the university's graduate admissions office saying we don't have your official transcripts, and that will prevent you from registering for fall classes. So I would encourage you to put that on your to-do list to request your official degree conferred transcripts from any institutions you've attended previously. You can use services like Parchment or National Student Clearinghouse to request your electronic transcripts to be sent directly to SLU. So you can send them to graduate@slu.edu. Don't send them to the School of Social Work. They go to the university. So again, send those in if you haven't. Otherwise, you will be notified from graduate admissions at the university level, and they will ultimately, at some point, put a hold on your account and prevent you from registering for fall classes. So be sure to take care of that, please. And then finally, I wanted to mention about funding opportunities. So our application for graduate assistantships and fellowships is open. So I know you're starting next week. It's open to you as well as incoming students. So if you want to apply for graduate assistantships and fellowship opportunities, the funding application is open. You'll have until March 1st to submit your funding application. I've already sent a couple of emails with the link to the application, but I'll include that in my final email as well from admissions about the funding application. So you'll have until March 1st to submit that funding application. Essentially, after March 1st, the funding committee will convene and decide which individuals will receive the assistantships and fellowships. And then in mid-April, if you apply for funding, you will be notified if you were selected or not. If you are awarded one of those funding opportunities, it will apply. It will be applied starting in fall 2026. So before we close for break, any questions on transcripts or funding opportunities? Any questions?
I put mine in the chat, but I'll ask it now. So if you graduated from SLU for undergrad, do you still need to submit your official transcripts, or will they have them?
We'll definitely have them. SLU will have them. So if you're a SLU graduate, don't worry about submitting your official transcripts. Okay? Great question. Any other questions before we dismiss for break? Okay, and then since you're going to actually be transitioning to Professor Richter at about 11:45, I just wanted to remind everyone that um, grad school definitely is exciting experience. It can be very stressful, but I would encourage you to make the most of your experience, right? If you didn't have such a good time in undergrad, if you want to really maximize, learning, be sure to take advantage of all that grad school has to offer. Don't be one of those students that just comes to class and then that's it. Make the most of your experience. If you're an on-ground student, your classes will start at 6 p.m. I would encourage you to get to campus an hour early and walk around campus. Don't just get to, campus 5 minutes before your class starts if you can help it. Try to come at least an hour in advance and explore the campus. There's always something happening. I would encourage you to attend the game, the basketball games, soccer games, or whatever. Make the most of your experience as a graduate student. You are a St. Louis University student. So be sure to maximize those opportunities, take advantage of all that SLU has to offer, and just make sure you're present and make sure that you are engaged. That will make the difference in your experience. So just want to leave you with that because I know a lot of students, their goal is just to get done fast and breeze through grad school. Take your time, absorb the material, make connections, with your classmates, get to know the professors, and just make sure you make the most of your experience. And we're just so excited to have you. So with that being said, we're going to take a break, but I need everyone back here at 11:45 in this room, and you'll hear from Professor Richter on the MSW program expectations. And that will, after she presents, then you'll hear from Dr. Wendy Ducasse on practicum. So take a break until 11:45 and meet back here, and we'll see you soon.
Looks perfect.
Oh, you can see the full one without notes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, guys. I
You
appreciate it.
got it.
All right. So again, my name's Christy Richter, and I am the MSW program director. And I'm so glad that you're here. This is really hard for me because I love to see people's faces. And in order for me to kind of respond to what you're doing, I'm going to have to get used to this. All right. It's all about learning and adjusting, right? To new and pushing our learning edges. So here we go. My name's Christy Richter. I'm an assistant professor. I'm your MSW program director, and I am thrilled that you're here. I know it might have been a long journey through the admissions process. I know that you were in really good hands with Danny and Becca. And today we're going to just go through expectations for the program, kind of general things to keep in mind, things to think about, and then kind of giving you an overview of our missions and where our curriculum is developed from. So first, I'm going to start with the university mission, which is, if you haven't looked at it, is the mission of St. Louis University is the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of God and for the service of humanity. For some of you that may not be religious or connected with any kind of faith, that doesn't necessarily mean that our mission doesn't speak to you. We're really looking for the pursuit of truth in general, and also making sure that injustices are served and that we are trying to correct injustices, right? So that so aligns with the profession of social work. So I believe our mission at a university level really aligns with our profession. And then you'll see our program's mission in general is looking and preparing students for professional practice with a commitment to social justice and the empowerment of vulnerable and oppressed populations, and that our MSW program strives for a dynamic community of learning with excellence in teaching, research, and service. I did hear before you went on break, Danny really encouraging you as graduate students to be a part of the community, be present, take advantage of the opportunities that we have. And the more I think that you do that, the more dynamic the overall community can be. So we want you really to be part of our community. And boy, I'm having some tech issues. My apologies. There we go. All right. So our education, our curriculum in the MSW program is based on the foundation really comes from our accrediting body. Our Council on Social Work Education is a national council that accredits all MSW and BSW programs. So they convene a board of accreditation that is faculty that are made up of students, that are made up of professionals out in the field to say, what are those key skills that students need in order to be a proficient social worker? Okay. And then they use that to create these educational standards, right? The EPOS is what we call them. And the last time that those were updated, the educational policy and accreditation standards were updated was 2022. We're actually getting ready to go through a reaccreditation cycle. We have a site visit next month. But that accrediting body makes sure that anybody providing these programs are really making sure that you have those standards and that you are showing students learning outcomes from those. So the standards, just for the generalist kind of introduction courses, really have these standards that they're meeting. Okay, so we're demonstrating ethical and professional behavior. We're making sure that you're learning about advanced human rights, social, economic, and environmental justice. We're engaging in anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion practice, right? We're engaging in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. We're making sure that you're engaging in policy practice, that you understand engagement, assessment, intervention, and evaluation with individuals, families, and groups. So you're really trying to understand all of these things, and the way that we're making sure that we're measuring your ability and competency in those areas come from this CSWE place. So we don't just make up anything we want to be teaching you about. We make sure that it is connected to the competencies and that we are making sure that you're going out of our program with all of those skills that you need to be the best practitioner that you can be. Okay, academic catalog and program handbook. I did hear Danny mention also the handbook. It is really important for you to review that. It is on our website. If you go to SLU, this is always my big tip, slu.edu, that's the SLU website. There's a little magnifying glass on the top. If you click on that and put MSW handbook, it's going to give you search results, and the top one usually is the MSW handbook. If you click on it, it takes you directly to the site where our handbooks are. I would really encourage you also to read through that. Those are the policies that you are going to be held accountable to. Whether it's grading, whether it's how you grieve, if you have any grievances, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. If you have to take a leave of absence, it kind of talks through that a little bit. It talks about the structure of our curriculum. So if you're wanting to know a little bit more about that, why do we have you take certain classes when? That all is guided through those competencies through CSWE that I mentioned, as well as what makes sense for our university and our program. So key policies and procedures are in there, and you can locate it on the website. You can also go to the Canvas page. If you don't have access to that already, let me know, send me an email, and we'll make sure that you get access. But you should have gotten access to it through an invited email after you registered for classes. We talked a little bit about it during our registration event. Again, let me know if you don't have access. The academic catalog is the university's structure of policies and procedures. The program handbook shows the policies and procedures for our program specifically. Together, they work in guiding you through the program and how you would respond to certain things if you need to. Probationary status, academic probation, performance probation, all of that's included in there too. Grading policy and academic probation. Speaking of, we do have a structured grading policy. This is what it looks like for the MSW, what percentages mean what, and how that translates to your GPA. The minimum GPA requirement we have for you to maintain, not only at the university's policy, but with the program's policy, is a 3.0 or higher. In order to graduate, you have to have a 3.0 or higher. If you say fall below that, or if you earn, there's a couple policies within the program that if you earn, 2 failing grades, you could be dismissed. That all is in the handbook, in the academic catalog. Those would be things that might put you on academic probation. We typically would give you a semester or two to try to get your grades back up, and help you and offer you opportunities to retake courses so that it can impact your cumulative GPA as well. If you ever have questions about any of that, feel free to reach out and or look in the handbooks because it's pretty clearly stated in there. I'll go back to this really quickly. If you do find yourself on academic probation at any point, we would be notifying you that you're on probation. We would also notify you about the appeal process if you're dismissed. And there are ways to appeal it if there are circumstances that we just didn't know about that caused you to have a lower academic performance. And we do consider those things when we're reviewing your student record. So if you want to know more about it, definitely read it in the handbook or ask questions of myself. I'm happy to answer those. There is a great tool called DegreeWorks, and I encourage you to use this and also keep your own records. University systems, we try to make them as strong as they possibly can be, but they are systems and there are many hands in them. So if your records show that you've completed certain courses in certain semesters and you're not seeing them quite match up with the DegreeWorks, then let me know. We want to know that. We want to be able to fix that immediately. But it is a device and system for you to be able to track your degree progress. It will show you, we talked a little bit about it during our registration event, but it will show you, where you are in the program, what you still have left to complete in order to earn the degree. It also can help you plan for future semesters, like what are the courses that are going to be offered? When do I need to take those? These are things that you're going to look at before you meet with your academic advisor. And as Danny mentioned earlier, you'll learn who your academic advisor is through an email about the second week into the semester. We will send you an email. Shelby usually sends it out, introduces you to your academic advisor, encourages you to meet with them in March in order to start preparation for registration when it opens in end of March, early April for the summer and fall semesters. So this is a great place, though, to start planning for that when you start to look forward for semesters and what you need. Academic integrity, very important. We take it seriously. Obviously, this is a graduate level program. We're at a Research One institution. We need you to be performing honestly. It's obviously a part of our code of ethics as social workers as well. So what is academic integrity? It's making sure that you understand what is plagiarism and that you're not plagiarizing, right? It is understanding what are the consequences of violations if you do break academic integrity. And then what are the resources to help support you so that maybe you're not, falling in any kind of pits of academic integrity. So if you're struggling with APA writing, which is a writing style that we use in social work, and you're not understanding how do I quote or do any of that, we have a writing center that you can utilize. You can always talk with our faculty about, is this considered plagiarism or am I citing this right? So, it's not to say that you're never going to use other people's words in your assignments, but it's, am I citing it in a way that shows this is not my wording, this is someone else's. So making sure that you understand those components is important as well. And we are very committed to academic integrity, demonstrating of honest and moral behavior in an academic setting. So just making sure, again, you understand what those, what we mean by academic integrity. And if you're struggling to be proactive, again, I just encourage you to use resources like Writing Services, Library Liaison. I think you met our library liaison earlier today as well. AI usage, this is kind of a big thing that people talk about now, and artificial intelligence is something that we are learning how to embrace in higher education, but also caution people. We really want you to learn and stretch and exercise those critical thinking muscles. So, just going to an artificial intelligence to spit out what you need to say, not necessarily the greatest way to use it. There are going to be assignments within our program that will ask you to use AI. And then there are other courses that are going to be like, absolutely not. So know what your course expects as far as AI kind of parameters and guardrails. So we have, each class has typically in the syllabus an AI policy and expectations clearly spelled out. If you're ever concerned about, wait, I'm not sure, I'm still unclear, I'd always encourage you to ask the instructor. And if you're not getting clarity there, you're certainly welcome to come to me as well. But there are going to be some times where you will be learning how to use AI responsibly. And then there's some that you're just going to be avoiding it altogether because you don't want it to be misconstrued as academic dishonesty, right? So learning how to cite the tools is key, and just being transparent, proper citation, avoiding replacing critical thinking with automated outputs is something to be aware of. Okay, drop, withdrawal, and tuition fund refund deadlines. So I just went on our website this morning. It's still not up for the spring semester, but I'm going to show you an example here for the fall semester. I'm assuming by next Monday, this will be up, the schedule. So I say the schedule, it basically shows you if you're a full-time student, which you all will, I think, full term, I'm sorry, not full time. So you're all considered full term, which is the 16-week fall spring semester. It's going to show you in this first section of dates when the semester starts. Obviously, this was back for fall. It will end up showing you January 12th here. And then it will show you the end of the term, which will probably be May 12th, I believe. And then it'll show you these dates afterwards, how much tuition loss you will have if you delay dropping or withdrawing from classes. So these first 4 dates are, if you drop by the first date, you can still get 100% tuition. If you drop by the second date, it goes down to like, I think, I don't know, 60 or something like, or 70% tuition reimbursement, and so on and so forth with each date. And then the final date here is, the final date here on this end is the final date that you can actually drop or withdraw. Dropping means you can do it on your own. Withdrawing might mean that there's an extra step of filling out a form. We have to go through the registrar. It tends to be a little bit lengthier. But then after that date, you will not be able to withdraw or drop. You're kind of stuck. If there are specific circumstances, extenuating circumstances, there are other processes we can have you follow. So if you find yourself after that date needing to get out of your courses, please come to me. We can have a conversation. I can kind of guide you through the process that you would follow. But this is all withdrawal and dropping before that date. And then how does it impact your tuition? And it shows you those deadlines there. Leave of absence. So say life happens. It does happen for all of us, right? Say that something pretty big, significant happens and you need to take time off But you know you're going to return to the program, right? You may consider a leave of absence. And I am always, again, here to talk through this with you and as your advisors are as well. But we would rather know earlier rather than later if this is something that you're going to need to consider. There is paperwork you fill out. We would help you with that form, provide that for you. Typically, if it's associated with any kind of medical issues, you'll probably have to get some paperwork from your doctor to go along with the leave of absence. But you can take a leave of absence up to a year without having to reapply to the program. However, I just want you to know it could impact your practicum. It could impact the course sequencing. So you'll want to make sure that you're communicating with the faculty advisor that you're working with, as well as me, so that we can make sure that, you're filling out all the things that you need to, and that you don't just get dropped from the university or your student account doesn't just get shut. If we don't have any paperwork identifying that, and you don't register for the next semester, that can happen. So we just want to prevent any of that and make sure that you're still going through the program pretty smoothly. Again, up to a year without having to reapply is what you can do for a leave of absence. Navigating grievances. So say you've got some issues that come up in a class and you're really struggling. I always encourage students to first start with the professor that you have class with. Talk through it with them. They've got great resources. They're oftentimes willing to work with you. I've had, faculty that meet with students after classes, set up regular meetings with students if they're really struggling with content. But first go to the professor, try to work through the grievance with them first. If that does not work and you still feel like there's no resolution to the grievance, then I would escalate it and come to me. We'll talk through what are some options that you may have. How do we proceed? If you're not really happy with the response that you and I come up with, then you could go to our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and that was Dr. Maynard, who you met this morning. But I would say, again, first start with the person that you're working with. These are great skills to learn how to negotiate, how to navigate. You're going to have to do this in a workforce. So learning that in the classroom and considering and looking at your academic program like a professional experience, because that's what it is. Starting to practice and utilize those muscles now is important. If, again, that doesn't work, feel free to come to me. And then you do have a third party you can go to if it doesn't get resolved when we speak. So there is kind of that chain of communication for addressing those issues. This also pertains to practicum concerns too. Starting with a professor, that's really going to be your faculty liaison that you'll start with. And then if not, you can always go to the program director, which is Dr. DeCase for practicum. And if things aren't resolved there, then it could get escalated to the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs for practicum as well. Professionalism and communication. This is really key. I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm just in school. This isn't a big deal. As I mentioned, Dr. DeCase, and there's a few other people that we were in this program together. So you look around the colleagues that you have within your class, you likely will be working with them in the future. So these are the professionals that you have as your network that you're starting now. You want to remain respectful to each other as well as to your instructors and faculty and administrators, right? You're practicing those professional skills now. So I would say get used to that now and not just communicating, say, via email with like a text type message, or, always have a greeting, always have a closure to your email, a sign off, making sure it's professional too. Meet deadlines. If you're not able to meet deadlines, communicate that. And, if an instructor's able, they'll be willing to work with you. If they're not, because it's a progression of your assignment and you need to be on time, then they'll explain that to you. But recognize that there are deadlines, and if you're in the workforce, you tend to not be able to just say, "Oh, can I do this a little later?" Life happened and I can't do that. You've got to figure out and juggle that in some ways. Saying that though, I know many of our faculty are pretty willing to work with you. So, but practice the professionalism now. Think about appropriate attire. We work in a really interesting profession that we could be working, doing outreach with unhoused, and what professional attire for that's going to look very different than if I'm going to a board meeting, for a national organization. Recognize where you are, who you're among, what's appropriate, and dress to that. So that appropriate attire. Coverage is a big thing. I think particularly even when you're in class and on campus. So dressing professionally and or appropriately while you're taking classes is just as important too. So dress as the professional you want to be, right? The next part is email etiquette. I dabbled into this for a moment. Professional greeting and closure, obviously that's important. Signature formatting, I'll show you that in a second. I always ask you, if you're emailing faculty and or staff, give us a minute to be able to respond. Okay. So 48 hours is an appropriate time. And if you haven't heard something, then circling back is certainly okay. But making sure that you're giving enough time. We get a lot of emails, a lot of correspondence and communication. So making sure that we have the appropriate time. We also may be working with others to get information to be able to respond. So giving us time to be able to do that is requested, is asked of you. Also, I would say don't email 4 different people about the same thing. Okay. If you email one person and they're not able to answer it, they're going to get you to the right person. When you email multiple people and try to look for an answer just to get somebody to give you a quick answer, that oftentimes muddies or congests our email, and that takes us more time to be able to respond. So just make sure that you're trying to go to the right person. If it's not the right person, they're going to certainly steer you to the right person. So keeping that in mind. I'd include your banner number in your signature block. That way it also helps us help you faster. So I'm giving you an example of what a signature block looks like. We do have these on the SLU website. So if you, I think, search signature block, I think it'll give you our Marcoms site where you can copy and paste a signature block. I would just include in that you don't put everything that the signature block has offered. They tend to be more for employees. We don't want you to misrepresent yourself. That's actually one of the code of ethics for social work, right? Practicing within our field, but also representing our self appropriately. You're still a student. You could either put MSW student or candidate. You would want to put the School of Social Work. You certainly can do that. The banner number there. And then if you want to, this is totally up to you, include a cell phone number. You can, you don't have to. And then certainly an email address. You can use that then also when you're reaching out for practicum opportunities, when you're reaching out to people external to SLU, and then they know, hey, I'm in this program, I'm a graduate student, and it kind of represents yourself in that light. When and how to contact faculty. So every instructor has kind of different ways of going about this. Typically, it's going to be at the top of the syllabus for when you start a class with a faculty member. But I would say if you're having struggles, questions, things that you want to talk about with faculty, reach out to them earlier rather than later. Don't wait till something becomes a problem. Be proactive. Look for when are their office hours. Some of us have what we call Calendly links so that you can link to our calendar and see what we have open. Some people have, I'm only here on this day and this day between these hours, so you know what their office hours are. You can certainly start by emailing them. If you don't see it or if you're not in a class with them, but you're still wanting to talk with a faculty member, you can certainly email them to figure out what those are. But typically, like I said, if you're in a class with them, it's going to be at the top of their syllabus. Phone, Zoom for urgent issues. Oftentimes faculty will just jump on the line with you if they have the time at that moment, or they'll schedule a Zoom to meet with you so you can do a face-to-face. For those of you, which I think we have many online students, I really encourage you to reach out to faculty if you're feeling disconnected and you're feeling like you need to have that kind of face-to-face piece. I think our faculty are willing to do that within reason, right? They're not going to do it every day, for your whole 15-week or 16-week semester, but they will be willing to make time to talk with you. So make sure that you're communicating early. Role of faculty advisors. I did hear Danny mention faculty advisors earlier. I said to you that you'll get an email introducing you to who your faculty advisor will be for this for the remainder of the program. They're going to meet with you every spring and fall to talk through what your registration will be for the next semester or 2 semesters. In the case of meeting with them in the spring, you're registering for summer and fall. Our faculty tend to be on a 9-month contract, so they're not around during the summer unless they're teaching. So if you're trying to reach out to a faculty member and you're waiting till summer and you were supposed to meet with them in the spring to talk about fall, they may be less quick to respond over the summer. So you want to make sure that you really are meeting with them at the times we're prompting you to set up the meetings, right? March typically, because registration opens end of March, early April for summer and fall, and October's the other date or month that you usually meet with them in order to start scheduling your spring semester. They may be able to give you some practicum guidance. They're not necessarily totally responsible for that. Your faculty liaison will be. But they also know the field. They have connections in the field, so they may be able to tell you, oh, you're interested in this specific area. For example, Dr. Gibson, when she talks about gerontology certificate, she has a lot of connections within the community. So if that's an interest area, that might be somebody you want to connect with and say, ooh, I'm looking for practicum. What do you think? So they can kind of help with that. And then career advice, like what courses should I take if this is an area I want to end up in? What will help prep me for that? What will be the best electives maybe to take for that? So that career advice, or who should I reach out to if this is an area I want to go into? Maybe not necessarily just for practicum, but just as take to coffee and have a conversation with about, a specific practice area. So those are really the things that faculty advisors are made for, are here for, to help support you. Tips for success. So I've gone really fast. I don't know oh wait, am I right at 12:20? Dr. DeCassi, are you here? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to tell you my tips for success. Success depends on setting up a strong balance. Okay, so build in time for study, classes, family, friend time, personal time, and self-care. I say that, and that's important. However, also recognize you're in an educational program. This is a finite period of time that you are focused in on education. Doesn't mean that you don't have a life outside of school, but it means that maybe you're preparing your family and friends to say, I'm really focused on this. I need your support during this time, and I need you to understand I may not be as available as I normally am. Okay. That preparation for your support system is just as important for preparing yourself mentally for your program, right? So be prepared, plan so that all necessary reading is done prior to class so that you can really get the most out of your class time. And begin assignments early. Like, don't wait to the last minute. Graduate school is not about procrastination. It's not a way that you really can get through successfully if you procrastinate. You really do want to keep up on your assignments. There's so much reading, there's so much writing that if you try to wait to the last minute, it's really going to be setting you up for disaster. So we want you to be successful. So be prepared. Plan a course practicum schedule that will promote your best work and meet with your faculty advisor. I already mentioned that a bunch of times. Be sure to take a mix of courses that will inspire you and not put courses you may find challenging all in one semester so that you feel like just beaten down. We want you to feel the success as you go along. So it's also best to take courses that will prepare you for practice areas that you are interested in. We talked about that a little bit. Strong writing skills are important. Making sure that you seek assistance early. If you know that I'm not a really strong writer, I might utilize the university grad student writing center. Be proactive. Don't wait till after you get feedback and then feel like, oh, I should have gone ahead of time and had somebody else review it and give me feedback, right? Utilize those resources to help you be successful. APA. So that is the professional writing format that's required for social work. There is an APA guide or a quick look guide that you can get. I would encourage you to look that over, understand what APA is. It's really being able to understand citing so that you don't get accused of plagiarism, right? That's a big part of it, is being able to utilize research that's out there to support whatever you're saying in your papers, but being able to make sure that you're giving the credit where credit's due for that. So APA professional writing is important. Demonstrate critical thinking skills in class discussions and written assignments and expectation. It's really hard. Right now, we are in a social media world where we are fed, and then algorithms are feeding us even more of what we already believe, right? And it really can have us struggle with critical thinking. We really want to think about all the different sides of justice issues that we're reviewing, right? Or all the different possibilities of how we might approach a situation with clients. So making sure that you're exercising those critical thinking skills and muscles is important. And, you know, there are suggestions that you develop study groups, maybe, if you feel like there's so much content and you're trying to get that, you know, work with your colleagues in class and figure out, you know, do you read a chapter, you read a chapter, and you read a chapter, and then we come together and discuss all 3 chapters. That might be a way to help exercise the critical thinking skills, but also get through the content that's part of the classes. If you are experiencing personal or health challenges, seek assistance early. I heard Danny mentioning the SLU Health and Counseling Services, and we have other providers that I think are listed on some of our websites too at the university level. In order to do your best academically and in social work, you have to be healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually. So if you're struggling in any of those areas, which that's life partly, you know, is figuring out how do I build the resilience so that I can get through this, but also maintain, you know, my schooling. But when you get out into the profession, we're dealing with some really difficult issues. And we're dealing with humans that are dealing with really difficult issues. We need to be that steady, even keel for them as we're providing services. So if we're dealing with our own stuff and that's interfering, we need to, you know, reach out to the resources that are there so that we can try to work on our own stuff outside of school and work, right? So those resources are there for you. I really encourage you to utilize them if you need. Be a strong oh, this is huge, right? There are so many group projects that we have in many of the courses. Be a strong member of your group project, right? Don't be the one that says, oh, they're going to get it all done and I'll just earn the grade. Don't do that. That's not a good way to set yourself up for the profession going forward. You always want to be working on how can I contribute? How do I best contribute? And so making sure that you are a strong contributing member is important. And then develop strong research skills. We've got research class that will help you do that. You may not think that you need research. Oh, social work, I don't need research. Why would I know that? Well, in order to be able to get funding, in order to be able to prove what we're doing makes a difference, you need to understand the research piece too. So really take advantage of the research course that you're going to be taking to strengthen those skills. Typically, you're not going to be strong in it coming in. Some of you might be, that might be your area of interest, but oftentimes we struggle with that. And so that is something I just really emphasize is really important. That and policy, even though you may not do it on a day-to-day, you're going to need to understand how it happens, how I can influence change within it, and how I can utilize research. So important piece. And then extend your learning beyond the classroom. Take advantage of those opportunities that come up that allow you to really build that community so that you can take that network out into the larger community when you start to practice and once you've graduated with your MSW. And lastly, have fun. Have fun. Really, take advantage of all the knowledge and expertise that you're going to be exposed to and learn from each other as well. I mean, you all come in with a breadth of experiences and knowledge too. And so this is really, you're an adult learner now. This is where you're taking control of your own education. So be your own advocate and reach out if you have questions. Any questions? Any explanations? Anything more that you need? I really, again, appreciate you. I can't wait to see some of you when you get ready to do practicum. And I wish you the best. I'm here. I don't go away after today, so reach out if you need anything.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Yes, thank you guys.
All right, so we're going to transition to practicum, the practicum session. So Wendy, feel free to, Christy, please feel free to stop sharing your screen, and then Wendy will share her screen to pull up her presentation.
All right. Can someone pin me to the top? I think Professor Richter still pinned.
Am I still sharing? I think I unshared.
No, I'm talking about your picture. You're like at the top end.
Got you.
I can go ahead. I want to get us back on track. All right. Hi, everybody. Before we get started, everybody, let's do a quick grounding. Wherever you're sitting, those of you who are off camera, those of you who are on camera, wherever you're sitting, put your feet firmly on the ground wherever you are as best as you're able. Put your palms face down or face up, you get to pick, on your legs, on your left. And drop your shoulders. Drop them from up here. Because when we sit, especially virtually, and when we're taking in really important information and we're kind of like thinking in our head, oh my goodness, what's this term going to look like? What did I get myself into this semester? We get tense. Our body's reaction is to go like this. So drop your shoulders. Drop your tongue from the top of your mouth. Just take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. You might feel a little bit of that tension leaving your body. At least I hope so. So I'm going to get us going and we're going to talk about practicum. Before we get started, take 1 minute to write down any questions that you have because I want those out of your head. Because if you're thinking about those questions, you're not listening to me and you'll miss something important. So take a moment to write down any questions that you have been thinking about leading up to today's conversation, all of that stuff. And usually what happens is what I talk about is going to answer some of those questions. And if I don't answer those questions during my presentation, I'll take questions at the end. I don't monitor the chat. I can't multitask like that. So write your questions down that you have, and then at the end, we'll circle back if I don't cover them during my presentation. All right, and don't stress about the slides either. You'll get a copy of those as well. So don't feel like you got a screenshot or anything or write feverishly. I just want you to be present and listening. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Uh-oh, here we go. All right, can someone give me a thumbs up and let me know that you can see my slides? All right, Berna, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to talk about the road to practicum. And as I mentioned this morning, I'm Dr. Wendy Ducasse. I am the Director of Field Education and also an Assistant Clinical Professor in the department. You might have me for seminar, which you'll have as part of your practicum experience, or you might have me for an elective or foundation course at some point. So what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give a high-level overview of the program. I'm going to talk through some terminology and the roles that people have in those in different capacities. We're going to talk about the planning process. We're going to talk about what interviewing looks like and provide you with contact information at the end. All right, so at some point you will receive an email inviting you to set up an account in Experiential Learning Cloud. And it comes to you directly to your St. Louis University email. I know they mentioned already this morning, but here on out, everything comes through your SLU email. So if you are using personal Gmail to communicate or whatever kinds of accounts, everything related to your academic program will go into your St. Louis University account. Check it as often as you can, at least once a day, I'd say. But when you are invited to register for your account, you will get an email that looks just like this. It will say external because the company that administers this for us is an external company. So it's not spam. Sometimes people will report it. It's not spam, I promise you. So you'll get that. And then once you register your account, you'll get another email that says you've successfully registered. All right, so let's talk about practicum. It is what we refer to as a signature pedagogy of social work. And what that means is this is where you apply everything that you learn in all of your coursework. You're applying theory to practice. You are implementing the things that you talked about were best practice in the client populations and in the work that you do as a practicum student. That is where we assess your readiness to go into social work. This is the last stop. You cannot pass go and become a social worker if you don't pass practicum. The Council on Social Work Education requires that we vet your readiness to go into the profession. And we are also all social workers ourselves, and our code of ethics say that we are ensuring that folks are able to provide social work services in a competent manner. We have an obligation to society, we have an obligation to clients, our colleagues, and organizations. So we take that very seriously. And so practicum will socialize you into the profession. So those of you who have never worked in social work, this is what it looks like to do social work. In practicum, you practice your skills. Those of you who have done social work, so maybe your undergrad degrees in social work, at the master's level, you take your skills to another level, whether it be those clinical skills that you're working toward or those leadership and development skills that you're working on at the macro level, or as a behavioral analyst, you're working to take those skills to that higher level of master's practitioner. Another cool thing that sets our program apart from a lot of others in the country is that we have a self-selection process. And what that means is you get some say in where you go to do your practicum. A lot of places will say, oh, you want to work with children? You're going here. we like to mirror the job search process and allow you to have some choice from the agencies that you get to interview with. You interview with them, they interview you, you decide that it's a mutual good fit, and you are able to go to those organizations. Some people like that. Some people would rather we just say, just go. It takes the load off, but we also believe strongly that it's a really important part of the process. Practicum is somewhat practicum within parameters, meaning it is based around your schedule. So we don't say you have to be here this hour, this hour, this hour. It's based on the organization's needs. It's based on your schedule. It's also based around those prime hours of optimal learning. So there may be things that certain sites would say, well, we really would want you to be here for this meeting because it's where we all do grand rounds or we do clinical consult or something like that. So in that way, there may be some structure to it, but it's really built around your schedule. And I think folks may have alluded to this a little bit earlier, but I really want to emphasize now is the time to think about how you're going to fit in practicum in your schedule. You have to do practicum as part of your degree requirements. So be thinking about what shifts you'll need to make in your schedule in order to make this happen. Not only to just get it done, but how will you shift your schedule to make sure you are fully present and able to take in all the learning that you want to take in, but also the learning that you need to take in to demonstrate competency in the areas of social work practice. So you have to meet academic and professionalism requirements. So you have to be in good academic standing in order to go into practicum. So if there's ever a time that you're on academic probation, you are not allowed to be in practicum. So if after this semester you're on probation, any practicum planning that you've done or that you're in process of, let's say you had planned to go into practicum in the summer. If you're on probation after the spring semester, you can't do that. You have to be in good academic standing in order to be in practicum. Your practicum experience also has learning goals. You develop a learning agreement, which is essentially your contract between you and the organization where you are. It's how they evaluate your performance, whether satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And that is also when we come to visit you at your practicum, that's what we review with you and your field instructor to see how you're doing and what your learning is, how your learning is progressing. And as you're developing that, you will talk with them about the skills that you want to develop, some of your goals professionally, some of your goals academically, and they will help you to develop that learning agreement. Again, as I mentioned, you have to have availability in your schedule. And this is like a job. You should treat it like employment. It's not just a volunteer opportunity. So you're not like making coffee and vacuuming and stuff like that. You're learning how to be a social worker. Now, don't get me wrong. I've made some cups of coffee in my time and I have cleaned up spaces. But your primary role is learning social work practice in the setting where you're going. So you're learning documentation, you're learning how to do case notes, you're learning how to do assessments, you're learning how to write policy briefs. Whatever it is that they do where you're going, you're learning that stuff. So here's a little bit of terminology, some things that you'll hear periodically. The Office of Field Education, and that sounds really big, but it's really just me and a couple of other people. But the Office of Field Education is the office that administers all of this. So I'm the person who reviews the contracts that we have with the sites. We have affiliation agreements with all of our sites that outline what you're allowed to do, what they're responsible for, what we're responsible for. We make sure all of the field instructors are trained. So we make sure that they have some understanding of what's expected of them when you come to their sites to learn how to be a social worker. I handle any big issues that happen, knock on wood, I'm knocking on this pressed wood desk that I have here. Any issues that we have, I'm kind of like the final person that reviews them. Our office we provide oversight for all the things related to practicum, whether that is identifying new practicum sites. We vet them to make sure that they can meet your learning needs. We do a lot of that in our newer sites, particularly in areas where we've not had students yet. So you folks that are online, we do a lot of vetting of those sites. We make sure that they can address all the competencies, that they have someone that's qualified to supervise you and all those kinds of things. I'm the director, as I mentioned, and I've said that a couple times, and the field liaison or faculty liaison, Professor Richter mentioned this a couple minutes ago, but faculty liaisons are the people who work here who will support you through your practicum experience. So you'll be assigned to a faculty member here. All of our faculty liaisons have social work practice experience. They're either clinicians or behavior analysts. They've worked in macro or clinical experiences. So they are great at what they've done as social workers, but also great in knowing the community and knowing about different agencies. So they're the people you'll do your planning with. You'll be assigned to someone that you'll work with from the time that I assign you to the time that you finish your last practicum. They will be the person who comes out to do your site visit mid-semester. They will be the person who's your point person if you have any questions, like if something comes up at your site, if there's an issue, if there's anything that we as the university would need to know about your practicum experience. Your liaison is the link between me, the university, and that site and you. And they've got your back. And we encourage you to reach out anytime you have any questions. Don't feel like there's anything that you ask, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so tired of me asking questions. No, ask the question. Ask the question, ask the question. Your faculty advisor / mentor is a different person. That is the person that you will meet with to talk about all the classes that you need to take in preparation for graduation. So you'll do course planning and look at where you're progressing with your credits and all those kinds of things. So the student is you. Surprise, surprise. You are really the person who drives most of this. While we have a lot of different roles and responsibilities, ultimately it's you. So I encourage you to make sure you're checking your email, make sure you are monitoring the Canvas page. Field Education also has a Canvas page. I post all of my communications through there to you. So make sure your notifications are on for that. I'll be doing a final check to make sure everybody's been added so that you're not missing things. Review those announcements. I post well, not a lot. I post a couple times a month about different things. Deadlines are there, videos are there. Once you start using Experiential Learning Cloud, there's some how-to stuff in there. So make sure that you are owning that responsibility and staying on top of things with that. Those of you who are in the St. Louis metro area, we do have a database that has hundreds of practicum sites listed. I'll tell you that it's a little antiquated and that we are in process of building another. We share it with the University of Missouri St. Louis and Washington University. We are kind of in the final stages of the new one and it should be rolling out next academic year. But for now, that site is available. And you can also do some searching within Experiential Learning Cloud. We have also started uploading practicum sites there. So folks who are outside of the St. Louis metro area, you can find some sites in there. And they're only the ones that students have been placed at recently. So if you're an online student who's outside the St. Louis metro area, those sites that are in there are the ones that we've established within the last 3-ish years. And as we continue to add more, they will go in there as well. So the site / agency, those are the nonprofit organizations where you'll be placed, where you'll go. And so we'll use that term interchangeably. Site, agency, agency, site, same thing. Field instructor, that is a social worker who will be your supervisor at your practicum site. They work for the organization, they are a master's level social worker, and they will provide your weekly supervision. They may provide daily supervision to you as well, but they're the person who will be responsible for evaluating your learning through your learning agreement. They will provide us feedback on your performance, and they are your mentor in the organization where you will be completing your practicum. Some folks may also have a task instructor, and that person may be someone who does not have a degree in social work. If you're in a massive organization, sometimes that happens. You have somebody who's more of your day-to-day point contact, and then you have a field instructor who is the one who does your weekly supervision, signs off your timesheets and all that. Everyone won't have a task instructor, but everyone will have a field instructor. All right, so for those of you who are folks coming in without a bachelor's in social work, you will be required to complete a foundation generalist practicum and your concentration practicum experience. So your foundation practicum is a 300-hour, one semester practicum at a site. And it is where I tell folks to just go wild there. Like, find something that you're maybe not super passionate about, but something that you're curious about. So maybe you know that your end game is that you want to work in a medical setting and you want to do clinical social work in a hospital or something like that. Then I tell folks to do something for your foundation that is maybe in a different area. Maybe you want to work with, maybe you do something with seniors, or maybe you do something in a macro area where you're doing fundraising and development, because those skills are transferable and they're also going to help to make you a more well-rounded practitioner. Being able to understand all aspects of social work, not just direct practice, can be really helpful as you do social work in the future. And then when you move into your concentration experience, then maybe you start looking at the one of like where you want to go for your grown-up job. So maybe that's where you look at a medical social work practicum experience, if that was what you were interested in. So for your foundation, you would have your foundation practicum and you would have seminar. And seminar meets 4 times in the semester for 3-hour blocks of time. And it's where you just talk about what you're doing, what you're learning. You work on, you talk about hot topics of things that are happening in the agency or in the surrounding community. You talk about safety planning, you talk about the code of ethics, and just various things that come up in the practicum setting. And before you can move into practicum, you have to have completed social work 5750, which is individuals, groups, and families. And it must be taken with your first practicum, really must be taken within your first 18 hours of coursework, because it's important that you structure it that way in order to progress through the remainder of your courses appropriately, but it's also aligned with what you need to know before you move into the more advanced level classes. So making sure, again, as I mentioned in the very beginning, that you really think about how you're planning out your time so that you're able to get that practicum in within those first 18 hours of your program. And then, as I mentioned, you'll move into your concentration experience. Now, your concentration experience is a total of 600 hours. It's 2 semesters back to back at the same site. So your foundation experience is at one site, and then your concentration is at a second site, but you're there for 2 consecutive semesters, 600 total hours. And that's where you take those skills that you developed in that first setting to the next level. Those of y'all who are coming in with advanced standing, you'll start with your concentration experience. And the same thing will apply to you, though. You'll be taking those skills that you developed in that generalist experience when you got your BSSW to the next level in your master's experience. And so whether that be doing individual therapy, treatment planning, crisis planning, chairing committees, you're going to be taking that learning to that next level that we would expect to see in that concentration experience. And the great thing about it is because it is 2 semesters, you have a longer stretch of time to develop those skills. So things that you'll do at the end will maybe look a little bit different than what you're doing at the very beginning of your first semester. And then ABA is a little bit different. You have more hours because you're doing a couple of different things. You're preparing to become a social worker, but you're also preparing to test for your BCBA credential. So you're required to complete more hours for that to demonstrate those tasks that are required as an ABA student, and also to demonstrate your social work competencies. And Professor Lewis will talk with you about the details of what that looks like. So some additional information. Typically practicum is completed during the day. Most of our sites are daytime practica. There are some locations that have evening hours, not a whole lot, but there are some. And that's really based around the availability of someone able to provide supervision and able to provide you with the oversight of a master's level social worker. But there are a few places. Typically, people are at their practicum site the fewest amount of weeks that you could complete a practicum in will be 10 weeks. And I would really discourage someone from that because you can't really learn a whole lot. You're just figuring out where the bathroom is after 10 weeks. You really need to be there for the semester, I would say. But I understand with people's schedules and lives and things, they may need to condense it, but whenever possible, I would discourage you from doing it in that short amount of time. But you're thinking about it, and I want everyone to have in their head, not just, I got to get this time done, but how am I going to optimize my learning while I'm there? What's the right pacing of this to optimize my learning? Because there may be things that they do there that happen at certain points in the semester. Certain things that you might want to be a part of or participate in or learn or shadow that may be a little bit later on that you want to have as good experience for you. And typically folks are there between 15 and 30 hours of the week. It's based around your availability. You can't say, well, I'm only available 8. That's not going to work. You have to be available a minimum of 15 because 8 hours, you're not going to be there enough to really see what the agency is like or the organization is like or how it's run, what you would do on a typical day or typical days of the week. So I really am going to keep saying this. I really encourage you to think about what your schedule is going to fit, how it's going to fit, how you're going to structure your time so that you can optimize your learning. There are some really special options that we have. We have concurrent practica or block practicum, as well as place of employment. Sometimes we have folks that work in nonprofit organizations where there are social workers who could supervise them, and they can submit a proposal to do a practicum there. And there are some very specific criteria, one of which it has to be new learning. And so like if you are currently an intake worker at XYZ agency, you can't do your practicum as an intake worker at XYZ agency. But if they have a department where they do foster care and adoption placements, then you could do it there because it's a new setting within your organization and new learning. But there's an application process to that. And once you're matched with your liaison, y'all will talk about that. You'll fill out the paperwork in Experiential Learning Cloud. I'll review the paperwork and I will send it back to you saying, I need more information about this, or I'll approve it. And then you could do your practicum there. But it also has to be approved by the site. Like you can't just say, I'm going to do my practicum here. And they're like, okay, we really have to talk with them to make sure that they can meet the learning needs that you have, as well as address the 9 areas of social work competency that you're being assessed in. And this part at the bottom of the screen is super important as well. Pay very close attention to this. If there's anything in your background that could impact where you're able to be placed, I need to know about that as soon as possible so that we can have some conversation around what those things are so that we can look at what your placement options might be. Because most of the organizations will run a criminal background check on you because of the client populations that they're working with, because they run those on their employees. So they do some places ask for fingerprints. If you're working with the courts, they'll ask for FBI checks. They will run some very specific checks on you based on where you are. So if there's anything in your background that may impact where you can be placed, let's talk about it sooner than later. Reach out to me within the next week or so that we can brainstorm and talk about what things are may impact you and what might be some options. But we do need to know that as soon as possible, because if you don't share it with us and then they run the background check and it comes up, you're not going to have a practicum. So as soon as possible, reach out and we can talk more about that. I mentioned this already, but your field instructor needs to be an agency-based MSW. So they need to be somebody who works in the organization, because it's really important that if they're supervising you and talking to you about the skills that you're developing at an organization, that they work there so that they can give you real, accurate, relevant, timely feedback and really guide you through the process of learning what it means to be a social worker at that organization. Also, they should be at least 2 years post-MSW. So that needs to be someone who has been employed there also for a minimum of 1 year. And we do train everyone. And as I mentioned, you might have a task instructor, but not always. And this person cannot be someone you've had a previous relationship with. It's unethical. So they can't be a partner, they can't be a neighbor, they can't be a friend, any of that kind of stuff. They have to be someone that is a new professional relationship. All right, so the stops along the road. I mentioned to you already that practicum needs to be completed within your first 18 hours of coursework. The first step is that you request your liaison. I will open things up for you to request your liaison within the next week or so. So there's no rush to do that. Like, don't panic about trying to do it today because you can't do it today. So you're off the hook for now. So you'll put in your request for a liaison in Experiential Learning Cloud. I will review your request and I will assign you to your faculty liaison. I'll send you an email that says, congratulations, Joseph, you're on the road to practicum. Your faculty liaison is so-and-so. I see that you are interested in this concentration and you want to do your practicum this semester, whatever that is. And so at that point, I say, please reach out to Dr. or Professor so-and-so to schedule an appointment for practicum planning. And so then Joseph will reach out to Dr. or Professor so-and-so. Y'all will set up a time to meet. Joseph will come in with some ideas, maybe thinking about what Joseph is interested in, where they might want to go, that kind of thing. So when you come to your meeting, you will have some ideas that will help the process go so much smoother. Don't wait and come and say, I don't know what I want to do. I'm just kind of like, whatever, what do you think? Come with some ideas, because most of us are going to say, well, go look at the database or, kind of do some research in your area and then come back. That we don't want you to have another meeting. So after you've met with your liaison and y'all have talked, because usually what happens in that meeting is you come with some ideas, we'll talk about what your interests are, and we'll say, oh, okay, well, based on that, those are great. And also, here's another place to consider. I know they provide such and such too, check them out. And so at that point, you can start contacting organizations. So then you're reaching out, you're calling, you're sending emails, you're letting them know, I'm an MSW student, I'm looking for, a practicum for, 300 hours or 600 hours, depending on what you're looking for. Wondering if you have openings. And if you do, I'd very much be interested in interviewing. And so they'll say, yes, no, sure. You come in for your interviews. And then after that, you decide where you're going to go. They will say, congratulations, we'd like to extend an offer. You can say, great. Or if you have other places that you're more interested in, then you could say, thank you for the opportunity. I'm declining this to pursue another opportunity. I really appreciate it. Please make sure that when you get to that step, if there's somewhere that offers you an opportunity and you don't want to take it, please respond and say, thank you, but I'm taking another opportunity, because social work is so small, especially in St. Louis, and other places really is small too. So if you say something or don't say something that irritates someone, they won't forget. Because these are going to be people who are also going to be your colleagues at some point. So you really want to make sure that you are thoughtful in your declining of positions and being, just grateful for the opportunity to interview, but, you're going to pursue another spot. And then the other thing is you will complete, we have a goodness, I can't even talk. A HIPAA training that you'll complete. It's a virtual, it's a 1 hour asynchronous. You watch the video, you take the quiz, the training that you'll complete, and you'll upload the proof of certificate or the proof of completion in ELC. And you will also submit your confirmation of practicum. So that lets my office know this is where I'm going. So you get the yes, you tell your faculty liaison, I got it, they want me, I want them, I'm going there. Awesome. Then you complete your HIPAA training and upload the certificate, and you submit your confirmation form. And there's a due date for all of that. You submit your confirmation form. That tells my office, that tells me, that tells Shelby where you're going, when you're going, who's going to supervise you. Without that, you cannot go. Because we have to make sure that we have a contract with them. We have to make sure that person is trained. It is a liability for you to be on site somewhere without an affiliation agreement. It's a liability for you to be somewhere if they have not been trained. And we really have to have you complete that. You can't start without it. We verify it at the beginning of the semester. If it's not in, you can't start. And the longer it takes to get that paperwork done, the longer it takes for you to get started. Because some of the contracts that we have with especially hospitals and bigger systems, there's some negotiations that have to take place behind the scenes between our attorney and their attorney, and that can take a couple of weeks. And those of you who are not in the state of Missouri, it might take a little bit longer. So the longer it takes for you to get your paperwork in, the longer it takes for us to be able to do what we need to in order for you to be able to start your practicum on time. So when we throw these dates out, we really want you to try to hit them as closely as you possibly can. So once you've got your confirmation in, once you've completed your HIPAA training and all the things, then you register for practicum and for your seminar. Practicum you register for under your liaison's name. So if you're assigned to me as your liaison, your practicum section will be SWRC whatever, section 5. I'm section 5 because that's just my number. And everybody else has a certain number. They will let you know what their number is. And you'll also see it attached to their name when you go to register too. And then you start your practicum. So here are the deadlines that you need to know. If you want to, you can screenshot this now. You can put it in your phone, all the things that you need to do. But the deadline for you to request your liaison is January 30th. So that's the last Friday of this month. That is a particularly important deadline for those of you who are online that are outside of St. Louis. And the reason why folks who are outside of St. Louis need to be matched sooner than the folks who are in St. Louis is because, remember, I mentioned you have that massive database of places already in St. Louis. Those of you who are outside of St. Louis, we are working to develop sites with you. So we need a little bit more time with you. So we need your requests in sooner. Those of you who are St. Louis based or and accelerated is our BSSW, so that's none of y'all. The people who got their BSSW here. But St. Louis based folks, whether you are generalist or online, the deadline for you is February 20th. And you can do it as early as you want. You can, those of you who are local in St. Louis or you are advanced standing or whatever, you can submit yours by January 30th too. The earlier you get it in, the earlier I can assign you. But that's the absolute latest. And you want to try to hit that deadline because our faculty are doing faculty things. They're teaching. We already have students that we are working with that are doing practica. So we're meeting with them. We're going and doing site visits and all of that. So we're not, just sitting twiddling our thumbs waiting for you. You want to make sure that you get your paperwork in so that you can get connected to them as soon as possible so that you are at an early point in their schedule. Because the longer you wait, their schedules are getting booked pretty tight with other things that they're doing here at the university. So place of employment, if you're thinking about submitting a place of employment proposal, you'll want to make sure that you get that meeting in with your faculty liaison so y'all can talk about it and you can get the paperwork submitted to me to review. If you are planning for a summer practicum, if you're planning to do your first practicum in summer, you need to have your confirmation form in by March 27th. If you're planning for fall, June 30th. Again, once we get confirmations in, we have to review your sites. We need to look at affiliation agreements. And that can take a lot of time. Because what we really want you to do is to be able to start on time and not be stressed out and not like thinking all the things that go through your mind. We want this to be as smooth a process as possible. That's why we have the deadlines up front. So it's really important that we're able to hit those as closely as we possibly can. Okay, so I mentioned this already. Again, it's a self-selection process. Go through the database. Those of y'all who are in areas outside of the St. Louis area, you can start doing a little bit of research on your own. If you know that there's an organization in your community that you're thinking about, look at their website, look to see if they have social workers. And then when we start practicum planning with your liaison, then you can say, I've looked at these places. I know they have a social worker. And we can do some outreach to make sure that they could be a site based around the criteria that they need to meet for learning agreements and such. mentioned that already. The collaborative database, you have to use your St. Louis University email to set up an account to be able to look through it. They won't let you in if you don't use your SLU email, because it is our protected private site that we share with UMSL and WashU. I mentioned this a little already. If you've met a site, or I'm sorry, if you found a site, it has to meet certain criteria. So talk to your faculty liaison about them, and we will do the vetting on the back end to make sure that it can work out, and we'll take it from there. All right. I know this is a little bit blurry. I apologize. But when you go into Experiential Learning Cloud, once you're matched with your liaison, you will see something that looks like this. You'll see assignments. So whoever your liaison, so this says Wendy Ducasse Practicum Planning. I don't know if you can see that on your screen, but whenever you're assigned, you'll see something that looks like this. Except it will say whoever the name is of your faculty liaison. So it could be, you know, Professor Heather Lewis, Professor Crow, Professor Morgan, Professor Richter, Professor Deutsch, whoever it is, it'll say their name, Practicum Planning up here. And then these things that are listed under here are all the assignments that you need to do for practicum stuff. So you'll meet with your liaison, you'll complete that little form. If you're doing a place of employment proposal, that'll be listed there for you to fill out. If you're not doing one, you don't need to fill that out. Your confirmation of practicum, you'll fill that out here. And then this one down here at the bottom that's kind of blurry, it says confirmation of second practicum. That is to be completed by people who are doing 2 different practicums. So if you're coming in without your social work degree, you'll fill out a confirmation twice. If you are someone with advanced standing, you'll only fill out 1 confirmation. You'll fill out just this first top one that says confirmation of practicum. If you're someone who's doing a foundation and a concentration, you'll need to do 2. Every time you go to a new place, you do a confirmation. And that's all you need to do in Experiential Learning Cloud. I know there may be some other things that are active in there, but these are the only things that you need to do to onboard for practicum. Now, once you get into practicum, you'll have timesheets and your learning agreement and all those kinds of things. But for the process of getting practicum started, this is it. All right, mentioned this already. Confirmation form, register for practicum. Your practicum you register for with your liaison. Seminar, you register for foundation. You can take it with any liaison that's teaching it, as long as it's, you know, if you're online, you have to take with online. If you're on ground, you have to take with on ground. And seminar for your concentration has to be with someone who is teaching. It has to be within the concentration that you're in. So if you're clinical, because there's a clinical section, there's a ComWork section, there's an ABA section, and you want to make sure that you're registered for the appropriate one. And we look at it as instructors too. And then the first day of class, we also say, you should be here if you are in the clinical concentration. And we also review our rosters beforehand, and we'll send emails and say, hey, get out of here. We don't say get out of here, but, you know, get out of here. Okay, talked about this. So once you're onboarding, congratulations, you arrange your start date. You talk to that person that is going to be your supervisor. When am I supposed to start? That is information that you also want to add on your confirmation agreement, so we make sure that we have the correct start date for you. They may also require, especially healthcare settings, they may require some vaccinations, immunizations. If you want to do anything in a hospital, they are going to require proof of those things. As I mentioned, many places are going to ask you for background checks, fingerprinting, all those kinds of things. You'll also want to talk with them about parking. Do I need to have a parking pass? Is there a certain place to park? Because, you know, people get particular about that. Like, don't park in the CEO spot. Please don't do that. They may also have specifics around professional dress. What that looks like in different settings varies. If you're in court, you may have to dress up a little bit more than if you are doing street outreach. You might be able to wear jeans and tennis shoes, but you want to get specifics about that so you're prepared as you walk in. Talk to them about training and orientation. Some settings will have you go through training as if you are going to be an employee, so you get to see all of that stuff. And then whenever you get there, just go in ready to learn. Ask questions, take initiative, really pay attention to all the pieces and how they go together, and start thinking about what you've learned in class and how it appears in action. We talk theory all the time. Think about when you're in these spaces, oh, so such and such theory may help to explain why this thing that I see in front of me is going on. And talk about those things during your supervision time that you have with your field instructor as well. You also want to make sure that you're paying close attention to the Canvas page for field. Make sure that you're paying attention to the Canvas page for your practicum course. That's how you'll get into your practicum section for Experiential Learning Cloud, where you'll do all of your paperwork. Again, there are videos about all this stuff. So don't feel like you got to remember all this today. You got a whole semester at minimum to know all of this part. So don't worry about it. Your learning agreement, again, you fill that out in Experiential Learning Cloud. Your field instructor approves it. Your faculty liaison approves it. And they will help you write it in during your supervision time. A big part of the responsibility for that is yours, but they will help you to work on it, and then you'll submit it. And if there's anything that your faculty liaison needs you to edit, to improve, then they will send it back to you for revision. And then, of course, you log your hours in Experiential Learning Cloud. Mentioned this already, HIPAA training. We provide insurance for you and practicum placement. That's part of the affiliation agreement process that I was mentioning earlier. Each of you will sign a social work code of ethics statement during your first practicum experience. And it essentially says that while I am a social work student, I am also practicing as an ethical practitioner and will abide by the code of ethics. And a reminder, you can't start scheduling interviews with anyone for practicum placements until after you've met with your faculty liaison. Because again, they need to make sure that they are vetting the site, if it's a new site for us, if they maybe have some questions or concerns about whether they can meet your learning needs and all those kinds of things. That's why that planning meeting is so important for you to have with your liaison. And then lastly, as I mentioned, students who are on any kind of probation are ineligible for practicum. This is the contact information of our office. Me, Professor Heather Lewis is our assistant director, and Shelby Tarkington is our program coordinator. She handles a lot of things. And as she mentioned to you, she is a student as well. So she knows a lot of stuff about ELC, and she helps me troubleshoot some things too. So she's a great resource for that. And then our field liaisons, you'll be matched with one of these folks that are on the screen: Professor Crow, Professor Jenny Deutsch, myself, Professor Lewis, Professor Morgan, or Professor Richter. And you will enjoy working with everyone. I think we just have an amazing group because we're all clinicians and practitioners and have been working in social work for many years. And so we have some really great expertise and insight into social work. So I think we're the best. Not just because they pay me to say that, but I legitimately think we're the best. I could not ask for a better team to facilitate things with. So with that, I will open it up for questions. I hope I covered most of what you have questions about, but if I did not, please feel free to ask away. Okay. I'm not mad at that. Well, anybody who is taking, oh, I see LaShonda has a question. Hold on just a second. I will say that I will be in SWORC 5725, that class, those of you who are taking, no, I'm sorry, 5750. If you're taking individuals, groups, and families with either Dr. Morrison or with Professor Brockhouse, I will see you on January, I believe, the 22nd. I'll be going over the same information again. So you'll see me there. But if you have questions between now and then or after then, feel free to ask me about those. LaShonda.
Yeah, I just have a question. Is the Learning Cloud free? Because in the bookstore, it looked like when I was checking out for my books, they tried to charge me like $2 something for it, but then they end up taking it off. and it was something about a database to track your field practicum. But when I went and got my books, I couldn't see it. I didn't see it anymore. So I don't know if we have to pay for that or not.
So there is a fee in the beginning, but it does get reimbursed to you after you start practicum. So you will pay it up front, but it comes back to you. So I know that's a kind of a big surprise initially, but you definitely get that feedback. And the database that we have is one that you will be able to access your information forever. And that's important to people who might be moving out of state and need to maybe apply for licensure somewhere else. And they'll ask you for copies of your learning agreement or how many hours you completed at your practicum or your evaluations. And they do ask for that stuff. And on my side, it's really helpful for me to not have to dig that information out of like all the boxes and dust. For students, I don't mind doing it, but it's so much easier if you're able to go into Experiential Learning Cloud, download it, and attach it to your application. It's definitely a time saver, and it's also a great storage tool to keep all of your information related to your internship experiences. And yeah, but yes, so to answer your question, yes, there is that initial fee, but you do get that reimbursed back to you during your practicum. I believe it is during your the first semester of your concentration practicum. And since you were advanced standing, you got it back already, I'm guessing. What other questions do folks have? Information overload today. I know. But I'm available. And actually, let me real quick pull up my Calendly. So if anybody wants to meet with me, if you have any questions, maybe there's something that came up that you thought of after the fact, or maybe you have something when I was talking about the background check information, things of that sort that you want to talk through with me, or just any questions in general about practicum, you can schedule an appointment with me. Let me put that in the chat. Okay. And yes, earlier Professor Richter said we were in the program together. We absolutely were. And when Dean Fern mentioned the youngest student, I was like, wow, I was just graduating from my program here. So that hurt my heart a little bit. It's fine. It's all fine. I'm glad to be back here working. I love my program time here. I think you'll find your professors accessible, really smart, really fun, and interested in you as people and as learners. So reach out if you have questions. Seriously, there's no silly question. You would not believe the silly questions I ask all the time, and my colleagues answer every last one of them with a smile. We're here to support you. We're here to help you and guide you. So just let us know what we can do, and we will do most things within reason. So welcome again. And some of y'all I'll see again in a couple of weeks, but the rest of you, please don't be a stranger and be on the lookout for my announcements in Canvas.
Thank you, Dr. Kase.
All right, y'all, welcome again. Bye.
Yay. So we're now going to transition to the concentration breakout sessions. Yes, virtual round of applause. So that means that if you're a clinical student, so if your concentration is clinical, you're going to stay right here. Dr. Allison Gibson will join us. She's the chair for clinical. And then if you are ABA, I've dropped in the chat where you need to go to Dr. Michael Passage's Zoom room. So it's in the chat, his Zoom room. It's also on the agenda that I sent. If you are or community organization concentration, you're going to Dr. Jesse Hilton's Zoom room. That's also in the chat. It's also on the agenda. So if you're ABA or common work, please make your way to the other Zoom rooms now. If you're clinical, stay right here.
Sure. Well, great to see everybody again. Thanks for being patient while we figured out where we needed to be. Hopefully this is going to work for me here. So we're going to talk a little bit about the clinical concentration and what to expect for this. Becca, are you recording?
I sure am.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Just wanted to double check before we got started. So we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect with clinical concentration, regardless if you are coming in as a kind of foundation or traditional student, or if you're doing the accelerated program. So the best way to kind of keep track of what classes you need to take while you are pursuing your MSW with the clinical concentration, there's kind of two spots. And let me talk a little bit about this first spot, and then I'll tell you another place you can go to kind of look as well. So on our social work course Canvas page, the social work resource page, you're going to see a couple different kind of paths to the SLU MSW degree. If you're starting off as kind of the traditional foundation student, typically, depending on if you're full or part-time, it's typically about 2 years, maybe a little longer if you're doing it as a part-time student. You're going to start off with your generalist foundation courses. These are things like social policy, human behavior and social environment, your practice with individuals, families, and groups. That's a class I teach a lot, as well as social work practice with communities and organizations. All foundation clinical students will take these classes. Once you've completed like your social work 5750 course, you're going to be able to then start your first general practicum. And I believe Dr. Ducasse has already talked to you all about field. I know she will also be visiting the 5750 classes here early in the beginning of the semester. So if you're in 5750 this fall, she'll be coming to visit and talking about, again, some more about the practicum process. So stay tuned a little bit on that. And then once you complete your generalist foundation courses, you do your generalist practicum placement for 1 semester. You then can start to take your concentration core courses. So these are our core clinical social work classes for the clinical practicum. Every student, regardless if you're accelerated or you're a foundation student, will also take 2 courses, which are our SLU Hallmark courses. This is 5706 Anti-Racism in Social Work, as well as 5707 Policy Practice for Social Justice. If you are coming in as an accelerated student, you're joining us this spring as an accelerated student, you may already be able to go ahead and enroll in those social work Hallmark classes. You may already have those on your schedule for the spring, and that is perfectly fine. For my folks that are foundation, you're going to want to try to work through your foundation courses and then move into those SLU Hallmark classes. Other courses that you're going to take are your kind of more upper level research and practicum courses. So if you're an accelerated student, you may already be doing practicum this spring. You may be doing it summer or fall, but those are the other kind of requirement is that full 2 semester kind of clinical concentration practicum. And again, Dr. Ducasse will be speaking with folks about that. You'll get assigned a field liaison to kind of help with some of that. All students, regardless if you're a foundation or an accelerated student, will take 3 electives in the social work program, and up to 2 of those can come from outside SLU, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. We offer a range of electives every semester. There's usually quite a few on the books that students have to choose from. We do tend to offer more clinical electives than we do some of the other areas, and that's partially just because our clinical students make up the bulk of our MSW students. So you have a lot of offerings to kind of choose from. And so we do offer a lot of these on a pattern, but not always. So speaking with your faculty advisor will be a good way to kind of get a sense of what might be offered over the next year. So you can start to think about when you might want to take those electives, especially maybe you're really interested in cognitive behavioral therapy, doing some CBT. We want to make sure that we can kind of look at your timeline, think about when you're going to be graduating, and make sure you take that class when you can to ensure you'll have the opportunity to be part of that before you graduate. So what are those clinical concentration core courses? So all students, again, regardless if you're foundation or accelerated, to complete the clinical concentration will take these 3 classes. It's 5733, which is advanced clinical practice with individuals. This is where you'll really get into thinking about the social work helping process. What does this really look like therapeutically and working with individuals? You'll talk about a couple different therapeutic modalities and working with individuals, and really kind of dig in a bit in thinking about diversity within client populations that you might work with. Social work 5734 is our advanced clinical practice with families and groups. So similar to our clinical practice course, this is a chance to really think again about the helping process in social work. What does it look like when you're maybe working with a family unit or a group population as opposed to directly with individuals? How does that therapeutic modality maybe shift a bit? What are some of those frameworks, some of those theories that we use to help kind of inform the work we do with families and groups? And you'll again have a really a nice opportunity to really think about kind of diverse groups and populations within the social work setting and really focus in on maybe a population that you're interested in some of your core assignments. The last kind of clinical concentration course that all of our students take is 5762. This is your diagnosis and assessment and clinical practice course. So this is really where we're digging into the DSM-5, making sure that folks understand the diagnostic process, how to use that manual, what kind of criteria are you looking for when you're maybe thinking about assessing a client and maybe working towards a diagnosis for them. This is going to be an essential class. This is going to be really helpful for you for your social work licensure. So a really important class that I think you'll get a lot out of, even if you've already maybe been working in the field of social work in different settings. So again, if you're a foundation student, you must take all of those foundation courses before you get into your concentration core courses. In fact, if you try to go and register without completing those, you're going to get error messages. It's not going to let you move forward because those are prerequisites. This is not required, but some students have found it to be beneficial to take clinical concentration practicum 1. So either your clinical concentration or that second practicum if you're a foundation student, and seminar along with one of these 3 core courses. They lend very well to some of the practicum assignments and just generally what you're going to be kind of experiencing when you're working out in the practicum setting with different clients. So let's talk a little bit about the 3 elective courses. So as I mentioned, you can of course go into the Courses at SLU app through your SLU page to kind of get a sense of what classes are being offered. I think right now you can see spring, and if they haven't already populated, summer and fall are going to be coming on in the next couple weeks. So you'll be able to kind of look ahead and start to see what classes are being offered in summer, what classes are being offered in the fall. And then we'll also see spring kind of come on a little later into the summer for those of you that are kind of looking and starting to think ahead. But your faculty advisor is going to be a really good resource for that. And I'll talk about faculty advisors in just a minute. You can take courses outside of SLU University's graduate program. We have a really unique partnership here in St. Louis with our colleagues at Washington University in the Brown School, as well as University of Missouri St. Louis, or UMSL, as you may have heard it be referred to before. So students are able to take electives through those 2 social work programs at the St. Louis University price. So especially for WashU, that's a little bit of a savings. The one limitation I have learned, I've had a couple of students explore this that I advise, is that, every school prioritizes their own students. We do the same thing here at SLU. So if a student from WashU was to come and say, I want to take this class here at SLU, you guys are offering this and my institution's not, we do generally wait until the week before classes start to allow those students to register. And that's true with our partners as well. So some of my advisees are just finding out today, tomorrow, if they're going to be able to start a class on Monday. So that is a limitation to that to just be aware of. And so I would encourage you that if you're looking at that, there's some forms you have to fill out. Professor Richter would be the best person to get in touch with if you're kind of exploring that a bit. Everybody has their course catalogs on their websites, but you may want to register with a SLU class just as a backup, just in case you don't get into that class at the other program. So I'm sorry that that's the way it is, but I just want to put that caveat out there to kind of plan ahead and to know that there can be limitations if a course fills up. You can, of course, begin taking elective courses as soon as your generalist foundation courses are complete. So if you're coming as a concentration student, you can absolutely start that process. And we do have, occasionally some things like prerequisites attached to things. Most of our electives, there aren't any type of prerequisite required as long as you finish the generalist foundation coursework. And If you're looking at doing something like the gerontology certificate program, I'd encourage you to get started kind of planning with that in mind. There are some things like the certificate program where you can complete that without having to do any additional coursework, but your social work electives are going to count for that certificate program. So you just want to start with that in mind before you jump into some of your electives. There's really no right or wrong way to choose electives, but you do want to think about what kinds of skills do you want to leave the program with. Of course, I know Dr. Matthews spoke this morning about continuing education. We are lifelong learners in SWORC. I go and do my 30 hours of social work continuing education every year as part of maintaining my clinical license. And so you're always going to be learning new skills, learning about new populations, changes that affect how we pursue social work practice as the field evolves. But if there's specific skill sets that I want to go into private practice, I really want to do therapy, you really are going to maybe want to look for those courses that are going to lend more to therapy. If you're thinking you're going to go into the healthcare field, you might look at some of those type of classes. We offer, things like motivational interviewing. That's really fantastic for hospital type of settings. But you may also want to think about some of the populations you might encounter in a hospital setting, older adults, children. You might see a variety of different health concerns. And so we do offer like social work practice in the healthcare field as an elective course. So those are the kinds of things you might want to think a little bit about. There's not necessarily going to be an elective offered for every single population, every single therapeutic modality, but we've tried to do quite a bit to be very intentional in ensuring that students are kind of leaving with the skill set to be clinicians. And so you'll see a variety of different things that could be applied to different populations, kind of more general themes, approaches to trauma-informed care, those kinds of things that can really lend themselves to different populations in different settings. As I know Dr. Ducasse talked about this already, so I won't belabor this point, but you will complete 2 clinical concentration practica. It's typically 300 hours a semester taken in 2 consecutive semesters. We do have a lot of students that do spring, summer, or summer, fall. It does not have to be fall and spring, but you should absolutely connect, request to have a field liaison if you haven't already started that process. The semester ahead of when you'd like to go into practicum, you'll need to connect with that person to get things started. Just kind of a couple final things I'm going to harp on as your clinical concentration chair to get you ready for Monday's classes to begin. I know the program has already emphasized this, but I just want to remind folks again regarding communication. Make sure you are logging onto Canvas. If you haven't already done so, you may want to make sure that you're subscribed to receive Canvas announcements once your Canvas courses become activated. Like many of the other instructors, I am working very diligently to get my Canvas class set up for the course I'm teaching this spring. And I imagine it will probably go live over the weekend, but at the very latest on Monday morning. So you should, when you log in on Monday, see most of your Canvas classes posted available, whether you're taking the class fully online or if you're an on-ground student. We all use Canvas for that. So Canvas is going to be the primary way that you hear from your instructors, especially in the clinical program. We will email you if it's something more urgent. So we really try to only email students, reminders to apply for graduation, that kind of stuff, really so you don't get bogged down by it. Other kinds of announcements are going to get posted through the Canvas page, the school's social work resources page. In regards to accommodations, if you're a student that needs academic accommodations for whatever reason, you'll want to make sure that you've started that process of reaching out to the Accessibility and Disability Resource Center on campus. Just as a reminder, accommodations do not go into effect until an instructor has been notified that an accommodation is needed. And so if you take a quiz and you don't do well on it and you say, well, I should have had my accommodation, it doesn't matter. They don't implement it until that's officially kind of filed and on record with the instructor of the course. And so I'd really encourage you to start that process. If you haven't already done so and you need that, you require that, get in touch with them today to get that process started so that you can get those accommodations set up going forward for the semester. As just another piece of advice, if you have accommodations and you're not sure you need them, or you don't really see how they're applicable to a course, still go ahead and submit that. Make sure that's filed with the instructor of record, even if you don't plan on using them, just again, because they can't be applied retroactively. So if an instructor is not aware that accommodations are needed legally, they just don't apply them until it's officially kind of filed on record. And so you can work with our contact there. I believe it's Kendra, to make sure that you're all set up for what you might need. Your faculty advisors are going to be assigned later this semester. Many of you are going to get assigned to clinical faculty that teach in the School of Social Work. And so you'll get a communication just letting you know who your instructor is. And then most faculty will reach out about a week or two before registration opens for the next semester. So the next semester we're going to be registering for is summer and then fall. And graduate students get to register pretty quickly. But if you don't hear from your faculty advisor, you're getting really close to the registration period, don't be afraid to email them. But generally, most faculty will contact folks and say, here's how you kind of sign up for an appointment with me. And most faculty will do that over Zoom with folks. If you prefer to meet in person, you can absolutely work that out as well. Your practicum field liaisons, of course, are going to be assigned to you once you've requested the form. Dr. Ducasse will be visiting classes to kind of instruct folks how to start that process if you weren't already engaged in field practicum. The other resources that I just want to make sure that you're aware of that are really helpful is through that SLU portal, where you go and you log in and you can access your Outlook. You can go to courses at SLU and just kind of like a shopping cart, you add the classes you want to enroll in for the next semester, you check out. You can find things there. You can also visit an app in that portal called DegreeWorks. And this is what we at the university use internally to kind of see a student's progress in the program that they're enrolled. So as an advisor, I go into my students' DegreeWorks before we meet. I take a look at what classes you're currently enrolled in, what have you completed, what is still outstanding. It's going to offer you a checklist of all the classes that you have left to complete before you complete your degree. And so if you're dually enrolled, you can toggle through the different degree programs when you get in there, but it's a really wonderful tool to help you kind of see what's left on your to-do list for completing your degree. And it also allows you to see what percentage you are in terms of how far along are you to graduation. It will recognize the courses you're currently enrolled in, as well as any that you've signed up for future semesters, but it won't kind of transition over in terms of showing a lot of progress in terms of completing until you've completed those courses and a grade has been issued. You can see other things like your course schedule, your grades, those sorts of things through that app for SLU, through Banner and different things. But the final thing I just want to mention, and this may have already been discussed, but sometimes it hasn't been, is I just want to remind folks, if you're not sure what textbooks you may need for this semester, go ahead and log on there to that SLU bookstore to kind of see what textbooks. If you go to the SLU bookstore, they do not have books just there that you can go and pick up. You do have to request them all online, and then they send you a little communication when those are ready, and you can stop by the SLU bookstore to pick those up. So for my on-ground students, please don't head directly to the bookstore or go through this website to see what you need to get. But you can absolutely buy your books through third party. You can buy them off Amazon, whatever you'd like to do. Many of our students rent textbooks these days, and that is absolutely an option. Just make sure you're paying attention to how long your course goes and what the rental period is. Sometimes those 90-day rentals are not quite enough to get you through the full semester. So I just want to be mindful of that. I'm going to stop talking now and just see what kinds of questions are coming up. Does anyone have any specific questions about clinical concentration or anything else that I can answer? I don't know that I can answer a question about costs specifically for classes. That would be a good question for Jess Kilmade, who I know you met earlier. I would send her a message. You pay for the degree is all I can say. And so ultimately it's kind of, if you end up, you're on a 4-semester plan and you graduate in 3, you'll pay a little bit more over those 3 semesters, right, to graduate. But essentially you're paying for the degree. So I don't want to say how summer kind of works. It would be better to speak to Jess directly if you have questions about tuition and billing. Yes, please. What questions do we have? Is it Deja?
Yep. I did have a question about like practicum hours because I think in the slide it said we get 600 in the program, but I think it's a little more to take the licensed clinical social worker exam for the state. So is that something that you guys take into account? Is that like, so would we have to do additional hours after graduating to do that? Like, are the hours in mind for the exam that you would take to do it, like the licensed clinical social worker exam?
That is a fantastic question, and they're two totally separate things. So to get your MSW degree from an accredited MSW program, you have to complete 600 hours of practicum. If you're a foundation student, you're going to end up doing 900 because you're going to have that first practicum as a foundation student, and then because you don't have your undergraduate degree in social work already, and then you'll have the 600 hours as an MSW student in the concentration practicum. So that's just to earn your MSW degree. What you're asking about is for folks that want to get clinically licensed with the state. And so once you've completed your MSW degree, you can apply for an MSW license, but you will not be a clinical social worker until you've completed so many hours of work in the field and received supervision by somebody that is licensed to provide supervision to a clinical social worker. For those of you that are thinking about getting your clinical license, I highly recommend it. I thought it was a very worthwhile process. If you're taking 5750 this spring or summer, or I guess spring or fall, we will talk a little bit about the licensure as part of that class. But it is actually hours that are totally different. So you can start working as an MSW, but you won't be recognized as a clinical social worker until you've been at your, in that role for so many years and you've received all the adequate supervision from somebody that has their supervision designation. That is something to think about when you're looking for your first social work job. A lot of jobs, to incentivize folks to come work for them, they'll offer free supervision for folks that want to get their clinical licensure. So it is something to think about. But that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. You're right. I think it is something like 150 hours of supervision. Some states it's 100, some states it's 250. It depends what state you're going to be practicing in. We'll define what that looks like. Any other questions?
I think it's like 2,000 to get.
I think it's 2,000 hours of work. So you have to, it's usually like 2, maybe 3 years in your job. And then there's so many hours of supervision. I am not licensed in Missouri. I'm licensed right now in Ohio because I'm not currently practicing. Mine was 2,000 hours and 150 hours of supervision. So I met with a supervisor 150 times to talk about what I was doing as a clinical social worker. It was well worth it. I got a lot out of it. And obviously it made me much more competitive for clinical jobs. I could do private practice. I could do anything after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a journey. We're on a journey. What other questions? Do folks know where to go on Monday, whether you're on ground or online? You feeling pumped? Are you excited about your classes? Not yet. You'll get there. Just keep reminding yourself. I remember feeling very overwhelmed as an MSW student. It's hard to balance classes and practicum. Especially if you're going to try to work or if you have a family on top of that. It's a lot, but it's very time limited. So I used to say to myself, 15 weeks this semester, I can do anything for 15 weeks and then it's over. I can do anything. 10 weeks, okay. 8 weeks, I got this. So that's kind of how I coached myself through, but it is a lot. It feels very busy. So make sure you're doing things to kind of take care of yourself and just coming back to why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? And remind yourself that you can do it. We're here to help. We have resources through our school and on campus. We really want to see you guys be successful. Last kind of final reminder I'll make is that within social work, we are a smaller field. So not to say that like you should, don't be perfect. Don't feel like you always have to be exceptional. But we are a small field. So just remember, to be courteous to each other, professional. We all kind of know each other in social work. I know people in, every state that I've practiced in social work. We're not that large of a field. And so these are folks that could be future colleagues with you, folks that could offer supervision to you once they get their designation. And we're all kind of in this together, so we support each other and whatnot. So I just kind of remind you to make sure you're showing up, being professional. That could pay off. I had one of my very first social work jobs. I interviewed with a group of folks, and one of the girls in my class was sitting on the team that interviewed me, and she was a good advocate for me in getting that job. So just remember to kind of show up and be professional. Do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's all I have, Becca.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Gibson.
Ready to be done. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Is there any other questions for Dr. Gibson before we let her go? She shared so much good information. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I learned a lot.
Are you ready, Becca? Are you ready for Monday?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you guys need anything, Allison.Gibson@SLU, please feel free to reach out. But I do think your faculty advisors will be really helpful to you. So look for those emails a little later in the semester with who to connect to. See you guys later.
Bye, Dr. Gibson.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, everyone, that is all that we have for you today. Thank you so much for attending and sticking with us. I know that it was a lot of information. Be on the lookout for that follow-up email with links and final reminders. If you missed any information from today, it's been mentioned that we are recording. So we will get those links posted and you will have the ability to review any of the information that was discussed. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. You've been given 1,000,001 contact information, email addresses today. So there's got to be somebody that can answer your questions if you think of something after I let you go. But congratulations. We are so excited for you guys. It's a journey. It's a lot, but it's so worth it. And we are all here for you. So have a good rest of your day, and I wish you guys well.
Thank you.